Hello and welcome to a very special watch along. It's the 20-year anniversary of TNA Final Resolution, not Revolution, that's WWE, Resolution 2005. And I'm joined by my very good friend, and when this releases, the birthday boy, Emir. Hi.
Woo! Yes. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this. Obviously, I love getting a chance to hang with you as you are legit one of my very best friends in life. And yes, my birthday is, and I don't know when this releases, but my birthday is January 16th. It's probably January 16th as people are hearing this. And I'm turning 39. So it's like my last year in my 30s. Though I
Nice.
will say I felt like I was 85 throughout my entire 30s.
Same, big same. Yeah, for older fans of the channel, you've probably heard Emir before. Like you've been on the channel a while ago. I think we did some watch alongs, right, or some reviews of something. We did something wrestling related a long time ago. I
We
believe
did we did some watch-alongs, and I don't know if it aired on this channel, but of course you and I used to be the commentary team,
that was on
our
EWA. Yeah,
EFED for the
yeah,
EFED.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
And
Different channel, but yeah,
and perhaps as a to anybody listening along, if I can get myself to get up early enough, perhaps I can start participating on a bit of a more regular basis. So we'll see about that.
I'm always down. And for more recent fans of the channel, by the way, that are like, wait, that's not how you say hello when you start a video. That's how I used to intro. And before we started rolling, Emir was saying that stuck in his mind how I always used to do my intros, and so yeah, I decided to do the old school intro. I was like, as soon as you said it, I was like, I'm obviously gonna do it now.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna take that as a birthday gift that I got to hear Oldie
Well,
Beezer.
well, that was cheap. Right, so so yeah, TNA Final Resolution 2005. This is a really interesting time in TNA history. So I really don't know what to expect. This is when TNA couldn't decide if they were a super indie or the WWE retirement home, and they were kind of 50% of each. So yeah, can't wait to see this. I'm gonna click play. You can see the stream, right?
Yeah, I can see it now. So I want to preface this by mentioning that there was a time where I was what I would refer to as a WWE drone
Hmm.
and refused to watch anything outside of WWE. And for a point of reference, I didn't start watching anything outside of WWE until I saw Wrestle Kingdom 11. And then I was like, I'll watch
Wow.
everything after that.
Wow.
So there's a bunch
That's
of TNA.
yeah.
Yeah, I missed so much. So even though I may now know who a bunch of these people are, I for sure was not watching
Yeah.
TNA in 2005.
Awesome. Well, then, this is definitely your first watch. I can't remember if I've ever watched this show. I looked through the card when I first asked you about it, and I don't recognize the show as something like that I definitely remember, but maybe as I watch it, I'll be like, oh, yeah, I have seen this. I just want to let everyone know as well that, copyright law is a thing. I'm not going to be showing the entire show here on the YouTube video for you guys. We'll show the first, 5 seconds so you can sync it up, but you need to, you know, pay TNA to watch this because otherwise they'll shout at me. So yeah, make sure you go to TNA Plus or wherever you can find this show. Maybe you've got it on VHS. Was it still VHS in 2005? I don't know, but maybe you've got it. Maybe it's on YouTube. I haven't got a clue. But yeah, so sync up 0000, and then we'll click play, synchronized, and you can watch it along with us. Okay, right. Let's get into it. So I'll click play after a 3, 2, 1 countdown. 3, 2, 1, play. Okay, and I'll leave about 5 seconds on so that you can sync up this epilepsy fit waiting to happen, and then there we go. Okay, right, so it's working now.
Okay, that's Moose.
That is not Moose.
Which are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Oh my god, I remember this clip. I saw this when this happened.
Yep. This is
Is
what
that
I'm. This is what I
that was
mean
not
though about
Moose?
TNA being part super indie, but you've also seen Kevin Nash and Jeff Jarrett squaring up, right? It's
Oh
like
man, I forgot this guy's name.
Monty Brown. He was Marcus
Yeah,
Carlon
yeah, yeah.
in WWE in ECW for a bit.
What? I had him. I had the last name Brown, but I couldn't remember the first name.
Um, AMW.
By the way,
Yeah.
it's Oh, sorry, I was trying to see if they were showing. I love the epic voiceover.
I know, right? Epic deep voice, man.
This summer.
This summer, the
Oh,
Avengers. Oh, when the Canadian Destroyer was still a finisher, not just a spot in every
literally,
single
I was
match.
gonna say, like, how many Canadian destroyers are we gonna see in this pay-per-view?
Probably one. Probably one.
The, the Canadian destroyer, I feel like, and I don't know, but based on clips, it feels like it was used as often as super kicks back then.
No. This is probably still in the days where it was one guy's move and he won his matches with it, and that was it. So, yeah, I'm expecting to see 0 or 1 Canadian destroyers, depending on whether Peter Williams wins or loses his match. Like, that's my guess. My over-under is on 1.
Yeah. And the X Division title is always dope.
Yeah, just a big X on it. DDP?
I don't
even remember DDP being in TNA, and I watched a fair bit of TNA. But apparently he was there.
The biggest challenge of his life. Diamond Dallas Page.
Yeah, not fighting Goldberg at Halloween Havoc or something. No. Kevin Nash.
Oh my god. Nash doesn't even have ring gear. He's just like whatever, just
in his jeans,
shirt and pants. Dude, Jeff Jarrett is everywhere all the time. He never leaves wrestling, man.
Right. Well, this is Jeff Jarrett's company, isn't it? He made this because WWE wouldn't hire him after they bought WCW.
Exactly. Yeah.
How wild is it that in like 2023, 2024, Jeff Jarrett became like one of the most popular wrestlers on the planet for a bit? Like every AEW fan was super into Jeff Jarrett. It's like he finally got there, Ma.
Yeah,
the people finally love me.
I mean, his staying power, just decade after decade.
Right.
The fact that he always gets the call says something. It's kind of like, even if the fans took forever to catch on, the wrestlers always knew.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, maybe he and his friends over-pushed him, but as a solid hand, a reliable, like, mid-carder, Jeff Jarrett was great. It's just him being pushed as, like, a multiple-time world champion is maybe what a lot of people weren't buying into.
Yeah, I personally couldn't buy into it. And no offense, Double J, but come on, man.
Yeah.
The way you used to strut around with those suspenders and that curly blonde hair, there's no way I would believe it.
I don't know if you've spotted the sign. They've shown it a couple of times so far, and I remember it being on the card. Eric Watts is on this show. Do you remember Eric Watts?
No.
Bill Watts' son, who got like mega pushed in WCW in like 1992 and was rubbish. He's the guy in, like, you might have seen the gif of like the worst drop kick of all time. Like, that's him. He was genuinely terrible, and Bill Watts was putting him, because he was his son, obviously, was putting him over, like, I think he beat Arn Anderson. He was beating people of like that sort of stature in WCW in like his rookie year when he was dreadful, and it was just it didn't last long. And even in 1992, when you didn't have like the internet, and you didn't have like smarks as such, the fans were just like, nope, boo this man, even though he was a babyface. Like, yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing if he's actually any better in TNA. 13 years later? Probably not, because I don't remember him working much in between.
Spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure the answer is no.
Yeah.
By the way, look at this announce team. I haven't seen these guys in forever.
Right? TNA Hall of Famers. Don't want to put too much of a dampener on the episode as a whole, but I think we'd be remiss to mention, didn't Don West pass away? I think
so. Yeah, I was thinking
rest
the
in
same
peace.
thing.
I know he was like quite cheesy, an OTT, but I always really enjoyed him. I always really enjoyed this announce team.
Yeah.
Shane Douglas.
The franchise.
The franchise of nowhere.
Look at that. Look at that. That NWA championship is just beautiful, man.
Yeah. It's a nice belt. It's a shame. Like, it essentially died its death when it split from WCW, which is a long time ago. And then the final nail in the coffin was Shane Douglas, fun enough, when it split from ECW as well. But, like, it's a shame its legacy got tarnished so much through the 90s. It came back a bit in these years because it was the main title of the second biggest promotion in the country. But yeah, it died a death again up to present day. You know, it's not really been relevant since the original All In, has it? Really?
Yeah.
And you can't teach that.
You know what I'm saying? What if it is, you big sexy, big chunk of hunking man? Come down and rub your booty.
The alpha male gimmick would be such a different gimmick in 2025.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. That was before the Me Too movement and all that. And male toxicity and all that.
I was going to say, not even that. It'd just be like, it'd be some like Andrew Tate kind of parody character.
Oh, yeah. You know, the only reason why an Andrew Tate character hasn't made it on screen in WWE is because Vinnie Mac is gone.
Yeah, probably, yeah. It'd be a babyface under Vince.
Vince was Andrew Tate before Andrew Tate.
Yeah, true. Right. Who is this? Oh, that's Frankie Kazarian with long hair.
Look at his long hair.
Yeah.
So I got a great Kazarian story.
Okay.
I went to New Japan, in Long Beach, California, where I used to live.
Yeah.
And a Fallen Angel.
Hell yeah.
And Kazarian and Scorpio Sky.
Yeah, SoCal. Yeah. SCU.
They all come walking down, like out of the event. I got to my car, and then they all come walking into the parking lot. Their car parked 2 cars from my car.
Oh, nice.
Now, at the time, as I mentioned, because I had just started watching things outside of WWE, the only person that I knew was Christopher Daniels. I didn't know Kazarian, and I didn't know Scorpio Sky at the time. So I was just like, oh, shit, Ron Killings.
Yep.
So I was just like, oh, my God, Christopher Daniels. And he looked back, and he was like, what's up, man? They all looked, but I only said hello to him. And he said, what's up, man? And then they jumped in their car and drove off very quickly, probably because they didn't want to see other fans. I feel so sad that I had Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian right there, and I just didn't know who they were at the time.
Maybe they jumped in the car and drove off because you only recognized one of them. They were offended. I've got a little...
That's BG James, right?
Yeah. I wonder what Conan's going to say.
Conan. Conan...
He's got such wide variety of promos. There it is. There it is. Conan bingo. Everyone wins every time.
You know what's crazy too about BG James?
Yep.
Is it just hit my mind that him and Jeff Jarrett used to be paired together way back in old school WWF days.
The real Double J. That's why he was called Jesse James. That's why he was called Jesse James, was to have another JJ name. Yeah. Do you know what's crazy about him that always blows my mind is that the Road Dogg / BG James is a part of the Armstrong family, a super prestigious
referee,
serious wrestling family, and then you've just got this guy who's famous for telling people to suck it and doing the same promo every day for 3 years in the Attitude Era. And he's the most famous one. It tickles me so much.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
By the way,
can I tell you something too?
Yeah, go on.
I hate this ring. I've never liked the 6-sided ring, and then these metal things that are around the ring, I hate it all.
That's for the Ultimate X. That's not usually there, the girders. But yeah, the 6-sided ring, I like sometimes, and sometimes I think it kind of gets in the way. I'm not as taken with it as a lot of people are. When people are always petitioning for them to bring it back, I'm like, no, it's fine where it was in history. I'm okay with it just being a part of history. What I was going to say, though, is it's really fun to see Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian teaming up way before they were Bad Influence, way before SCU was a thing. Christopher Daniels is kind of the odd man out in that trio, but they went on to be such a successful team. And fun little tidbit, Bad Influence is the only TNA shirt I have ever bought. And you know how much wrestling merch I've got, but it's the only TNA one I ever bought. I also bought AJ Styles gloves.
You know how long it's been since I've seen Conan actually wrestling and not just being a promoter?
I mean, yeah, probably about 20 years. I don't
Exactly.
imagine it was much after this. Because even in these days, he was like, I'm surprised he's involved in the match. He was mostly just a manager. Like,
Yeah.
Conan became essentially just a manager in about 1999 when the Filthy Animals were formed in WCW. He barely wrestled then. He always was just on the outside and did the promos. Like, he was essentially just a manager from them who occasionally would get in the ring.
I have a question. This was a pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so see, the screen did a quick cutaway, like it was gonna go to commercial, and
Yeah.
then when it came back, it was in the exact same place that it left in. So
So
it's not like the cameras would have kept rolling. Like, what the fuck was that?
no, I think that's because TNA Plus has more than one tier, and we're watching on the paid tier. I think this might certain shows are available on the free tier, but with adverts. So it's probably just that. It's probably just an ad break for the. I don't know why they didn't just, instead of having it fade, just hard cut, so you didn't need to cut the paid one at all. I don't know why you would do it that way, but that seems to be what they've done. I'm trying to remember this guy's name. Was it like Michael Shane or something? Because not this guy. This is Kaz, but Kaz's partner. Yeah, they just said Michael Shane. Because the reason he was called Michael Shane was because he was trained by Shawn Michaels, so he just named himself after him, essentially. I think his real name is Shane something, so he went Michael Shane to be like named after Shawn Michaels, but not as brazenly as to just be like Shane Michaels or something.
You know the dance that they just did?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, no, I mean, I know the dance they just did, and I just watched it, but I'm not.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you know the thing about BG James is, I don't know how much about the Armstrong family, but obviously, Brian here is like, he's like a white guy, but he always moves around and dances and used to have his hair braided and very urban and black and blah blah blah. That dance that they just did is from this movie that's called House Party, where Kid and Play, the two characters Kid and Play, who were very much into hip hop, did a dance like that together. And so throughout history, people always end up doing that dance together. I'm trying to think, because I saw two people do that dance recently on something big that happened. I can't think of it right now, but the point is like that's where they got that from. So the fact that Ron Killings, every part of his moveset is that he must do a breakdance move while he's beating your ass is hilarious.
Yeah. Can I just point out something that happened there? There was a tag that the referee denied because it was the wrestler's foot that they tagged. What? Are there actually rules about that? Because I have seen someone slap someone in the face and it be counted as a legal tag. We see people tap each other on the shoulder all the time as a tag. Is it upper body only? Like, I've never realized there's an actual rule, or were they just doing it because there isn't really a rule and they thought they'd do it as a fun spot? I'm curious, are there actually rules around what counts as a tag? Because it doesn't have to be hand to hand. We know that. I've seen non-hand to hand tags happen. You see people chop each other on the chest sometimes, don't you? As like, when there's animosity between teammates. So
which
I
is
think
always hilarious.
Maybe it just has to be like upper body only. Maybe anything below the waist doesn't count as a tag. You can't punch your partner in the penis and be like, "Yeah, I'm in," because that would be funny.
By the way, I like that. That the move that he just did, that Kazarian did. Is a move that Jeff Hardy used to do in the corner. I can't remember what it was called though. Is it like a slingshot dropkick or something? What is it called?
The one where he goes up into the air and then comes down with extra sort of oomph. Yeah. He used to call it the Hardiac arrest, which is a great move name, by the way. Like, I love that one. I love a wrestling move where it's just a really bad pun. Like, I love it when they're just named with a really bad pun. Like, it's great. Look, the mad thing about this is, like, this is the opener on the show. The talent in this match, like, Road Dogg, as much as he made his career off basically being a talker, he's an Armstrong, he's a wrestler. Like, you've got R-Truth, or Killings, or Ron Killings, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels. I think Michael Shane used to be decent. He never got that far, really, but I think he was good. Like, when you're watching a trios match in 2005 and Conan is by some distance probably the worst worker, that's pretty impressive. Like, honestly,
Yeah,
that's a
I
pretty
agree
good
with that.
lineup.
Here's a thought I've just had. I never really thought about it before. Maybe it's super obvious to everybody else. But Ron the Truth Killings. By the way, that was the worst X Factor. Ron the Truth Killings is basically Booker T if Booker T danced even more. Like Booker T just does the spinneroonie, but Ron the Truth Killings, he's like got the braids, he's got the scissors kick, and he's shucking and jiving throughout the whole match. I'm like, oh, this is just baby Booker T.
I think it's not baby Booker T. I think it's Booker T turned up to 11. It's like Super Booker T.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, you like Booker T dancing? Here's Booker T dancing constantly for an entire match.
Can we also talk about... Now, I'm a fan of all wrestling, as you know.
Yeah.
But in 2005, how good was wrestling that a TNA pay-per-view is jam-packed to the rafters?
Yeah, right? Like, when you look at, like, the TNA crowds now, and arguably TNA's got a better product now, and it's just, like, struggling. Like, WWE's doing great now, yeah, you know, they keep setting record gates because they keep putting the prices up, and that's wonderful. Good for them.
Yeah.
And they keep bragging about it, like, hey, we overcharged you guys, and everyone goes, yay!
But money for you.
But yeah, like you say, the attendance numbers elsewhere aren't that great. So like wrestling as a whole in the US isn't doing amazing attendance figures, but WWE is. Whereas in these days, yeah, like you say, you had like this is TNA, this is essentially just a super indie, and the drawing like packed houses, you can hear the crowd. The crowd is just like a constant buzz. As opposed to now, when there's not an active chant going on, it's kind of quiet because it's a smaller crowd, you know?
Yeah.
It's
I will say, though...
It's a shame as well, because today's product
camera,
deserves a good crowd. Like, it's actually really good, TNA.
The camera is intentionally not... The camera has not shown the hard cam side. What?
Yeah.
It's over?
Yeah. R2 just did his mad spinny kick, and that's it.
Oh, he's dancing. He's dancing.
Oh, he's dancing.
Oh, get it.
And he's got a backing dancer. Road Dogg was having a go for a second.
That's so funny. I bet you his wife probably gets so tired of dancing in his sleep. Shucking and jiving, shaking.
Not even in his sleep, just all around the house, all the time.
Is that Dusty? Is that Dusty?
That is Dusty. And that's
Brooke.
God,
my heart, bro.
That's Brooke Tessmacher in the shorts. And is that Victoria? The camera's not great. Is that Victoria? No, that's what's her name? Is it Tracy Brooks?
Okay,
something like that. The
That's
girl in the cowboy
awful.
hat, I think, is Tracy Brooks, and the girl in the little short shorts is, I think it's Brooke Tessmacher. I think.
You see these people set in the back of a truck on barrels of hay. Like what the fuck? Like this is
It's Dusty Rhodes. Like
I know. I love Dusty. Like to see him come on screen, but like, what is this, man?
Dusty spends as much of his time being country as R2 spends dancing. Oh, well, very 2005 of you there, Dusty.
Right now, Dusty Rhodes looks like Ric Flair ate Cody.
Oh. I'm guessing, are they in the South, and that's why they're sort of milking the southernness, the countryness? I guess this show's in the South, like Texas or something. Mike Tenay, by the way, Mike Tenay gets a lot of love, and still, in my opinion, doesn't get enough love as a commentator. Mike Tenay is an exceptional commentator. He knows, I know he gets nicknamed the Professor. That's an understatement. He knows so much about wrestling. It's crazy.
Okay, he knows a lot about wrestling, but how is he as a commentator as far as like excitability?
He's fine, but it's okay because Don West's there, and you don't need too much more excitability when you've got Don West.
Hey, who the hell is this guy?
This is Elix Skipper, I think. Prime Time. Oh, he's not even Prime Time Elix Skipper, but for some reason he's just called Prime Time at the moment. Elix, that's the guy. That's the guy who did the walk along the cage in the Hurricane Rana outfit. That's him.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he's
I love
pretty
that. I
he's,
love
he's
that.
pretty good. Is this baby Sanjay Dutt with hair? No way. Is he still in
I
his?
almost
He's still got his sideys. So when TNA first started, there was a trio that were like the dancing Elvises or something. I can't remember exactly what the name was, but they all dressed up like Elvis. And Sanjay Dutt was one of them, and they used to just come to the ring in like the jumpsuits like Elvis and do a little dance. It was
who's the
weird.
guy? Oh, I because of the camera angle and because I didn't watch TNA back then. When he came out just now, and I could just see the side of his face, I almost thought he was Trent Beretta.
Okay, yeah, with the sideys, I can see it. I mean,
But it was
again,
like a
you've got to
very quick
remember we're
glance.
going
Like
back
I don't
20
know.
years here. I'm not sure if Trent Barretta was wrestling yet.
That's crazy. Yeah, I really didn't think of that.
So is this just a match for the sake of a match? Yeah, they're trying to catch the eye of Dusty Rhodes, apparently. So Dusty Rhodes is the on-screen authority figure, and this is a match for the fun of it, I guess, on a pay-per-view.
Can I
No,
ask you
no deep
something about
personal
TNA back
feud.
then?
No title. No number one contender. Just yeah, this will be fun.
Back then, was TNA good at like, for example, if these two did have some sort of backstory like that, would TNA have been good at like giving the recap and showing the clips to like to get you
I
caught
don't.
up to speed on that?
TNA's never really been a production quality company, so like in terms of video packages and stuff, probably not. But I would think the commentators would have told us what it was for. And I know we're not super listening to them, but I've kind of been keeping an ear out for them saying anything, and it just seems to be a pecking order kind of match, you know. I'll move up. I'll move up the rankings a bit if I win. Like they didn't have like formal rankings like early AEW or anything, but like that's yeah. It just seems to be that sort of match. It's a TV match basically.
Yeah.
Again, TNA super
Like,
indie. This is what happens when you go to an indie show. You just have like you have a couple of matches that are just like, oh yeah, these guys can both wrestle, and we just thought we'd put them on the card so people can cheer them doing mad stuff. So here you go.
yeah, because it's just gonna be a bomb ass match. You don't really need a backstory. Just enjoy the entertainment.
Yeah, go have a fight, lads. Let's see how it goes.
How very indie of them. I agree.
Like I say, it's properly split TNA into like it's two companies. It's half super indie, half WWE WCW retirement home, and it's such a weird place in this era TNA because it's like what are you trying to be? I don't think they
Open.
really knew. I mean, I guess
I
in a way,
listened
you know what they
to-
were being? They were being WCW. That's what WCW was. First half of the card
yeah,
was super
exactly.
indie, bunch of cruiserweights and stuff, and then the latter half of the card was old guys that used to be in WWE. Like, it kind of is
So
just
they just get to
WCW,
be
isn't
on
it?
top. Right. I'm gonna say something right now, but let me get through the whole statement, okay? No interrupting, okay?
I got you.
I've been listening to a lot of the Undertaker's podcast. Okay, got it. And so he's always he's always saying in his podcast, like the thing that he doesn't really like about AEW and some of the other companies is exactly this, that they just throw guys together and there's no real story being told. It's just two people who are good at wrestling, so have them have a match. And for him, because he came up in this, I mean, obviously he wrestled several other places before getting to WWF, WWE, but once he got there and he spent so many years there in that system, story is everything to him.
Yeah. Is this the point where I can come in? I don't want to interrupt too soon.
Yeah, go ahead.
I understood that I wasn't to say anything after you said that that first bit, and I will refrain from commenting on the Undertaker as a human being. What I'll say about that though is the problem is with everything has to have a story. Is sometimes that gets taken to the wrong extreme, and you end up with the Raw premiere on Netflix where there was 4 matches that totaled about an hour's worth of wrestling in 3.5 hours worth of show. That show would have benefited from some matches for the sake of matches. Like,
yeah, and I don't know if you saw the
because it's a wrestling show at the end of the day, you know. So put some wrestling on it.
Exactly.
So I agree. Wrestling is at its most compelling when there's a really good story and there's a really good reason to be like invested in the outcome of the match. I totally agree. However, I don't think it's like it's a spectrum, and Undertaker sounds like he's on 100% story end of the spectrum. Whereas I think the truth is probably about 60 to 70% story is important. Like, like I think there's a lot of room for, telling the story just in the ring. Like, look at New Japan. New Japan's like the other end of the spectrum, right? Where they tell basically 90% of their stories just in ring. Like, they don't do a lot of promos, video packages, any of that sort of stuff. They just tell stories in the ring, and you're expected to follow along with how the action is affecting these characters' motivations. And that's really good. That's a good product. So, there's not only one way to skin a cat, as the expression goes. I just think, like you say, Undertaker just was in that one system for so long, he's completely forgotten there's basically any other way of doing it.
Exactly.
That's where I think that opinion comes from, is like you said, just it's what I know kind of thing.
By the way, Penta El Cerro Miedo was supposedly supposed to debut on Raw on the Netflix premiere, and his match got canceled because of all the talking that took The Rock, John Cena, and some other people who spoke over their time, and then there was no time for his match, and so WWE missed a huge opportunity to introduce this guy to their audience on the biggest premiere.
I have thoughts on that, because by the time this goes up, because we're recording this on Sunday, right? Is it Sunday today? I lose track. Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah, it's Sunday, January 12th, right?
Yeah.
Now.
So by the time this goes up, Penta's debut match will have happened, unless it gets cancelled again. I have two thoughts. One, I think Penta's debut match being against Chad Gable will actually be better, because WWE kind of booked themselves into a bit of a corner where they've done this massive character shift with the New Day, and if we're expected to take them seriously, they should be winning some matches at the moment. But then you're going to debut Penta as Rey Mysterio's tag partner against them, and there's no way Penta's going to lose that match. So I think it's a better debut, because it'll still be a great match. Penta versus Chad Gable is going to be amazing, but he can just win it. Like, and there's no debate over whether he can just win it. Like, Chad Gable can just take another loss. Like, I hate the fact that Chad Gable's just there to take losses, but that's where he is at the moment. So I think it's fine. So yeah, so that's one of my hot takes on Penta. My other one is that he shouldn't have gone to WWE. Penta is not, he's not the sort of person that, in my opinion, becomes a WrestleMania main eventer. I can see him being a Wrestle Kingdom main eventer. I can see him being an all-in main eventer, because those companies are wrestling companies first and foremost. Penta speaks very broken English from what I understand, so he can't tell the stories the way WWE like to through promos especially well, unless he gets a mouthpiece, which is always an option, but they don't seem to take that option very often unless it suits them. But also, his style of wrestling, I feel, is going to be quite muted by transitioning to the WWE style, and a lot of what gets Penta over is how he wrestles. He's phenomenal, and I'm just worried that he'll be a bit wasted in there, and he's just going to end up in the LWO. Which, the original plan, by the way, was to debut him tagging with Rey Mysterio. So I think my fears are grounded in something, that he's just going to end up in the LWO because, he's Hispanic in the LWO with you,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's a great move. I hope I'm wrong. I really like Penta. I want him to do well. I don't think it's a great move.
I've just thought of an analogy that I've never had before. But, when you know a wrestler and you've seen all the amazing things they do. Wait, quick side note. What you're mentioning may happen to Penta because of his lack of English. It's the same reason why Shinsuke Nakamura never got to take off in WWE.
Yep.
So just want to make sure I stated that. But when you see a wrestler before they go into WWE, and you're aware of all the great things they can do and their skill set, and they're completely over all around the world, and then they get to WWE, and you see this super watered down version of them that must exist there because WWE is entertainment and not wrestling. It just hit me that that's exactly what it's like when you read a book versus watching the movie. Every time you read a book, it's super detailed and it's amazing and you know everything about it. But when you see the movie, all these details are missing. All the things that made you love this entity in the first place is so watered down in movie form that you're like, man, fuck this. You got to read the book. The movie sucks. And that's how I feel every time an indie wrestler goes to WWE.
I definitely see the connection there. I have thoughts on like books to movies, but that's maybe for a different time. And again, quite an unpopular opinion on that. But I think the thing is with like you say, when they get watered down, what you mentioned about Shinsuke, the problem with the Shinsuke push especially was that Vince McMahon decided that it was much more important for Shinsuke to hit AJ Styles in the penis as much as possible than it was for them to just put on a good match like everyone knew they could. And it's like, if he'd have just let them go to... Because obviously they got told to hold back a bit at WrestleMania. I think that's not any doubt at all, because it was going to be a multi-month program and they wanted it to peak at the end of the program. The only problem is, it didn't, because the story didn't really allow it to. Like, so they held off at WrestleMania and then it never got better. That's what really held back Shinsuke. To be honest, once Shinsuke had turned heel, one of my favourite things he ever did was the sorry, no speak English thing. I thought that was hilarious as a heel move.
I love it.
From a guy who has been cutting promos in English. Like, broken English, sure, but in English, to suddenly just refuse to answer questions by claiming not to speak English was so funny. And I was so there for that. Is that Ultimate Warrior's face?
Is this the Warrior?
What the hell?
This is the Warrior?
Surely not. Wait, Kevin Nash discovered hair dye.
Kevin Nash looks like Mr. Rogers in this clip. I think we would be doing ourselves a huge disservice if we didn't mention that you obviously saw that match live, right? Shinsuke, AJ Styles.
Yep.
I obviously saw that match live.
We were there. We were next to each other.
Exactly. You and I were at that WrestleMania together. I will never forget that. It was such an amazing time.
Yep.
And I got on a plane and went to New Orleans specifically to see my guy, Shinsuke Nakamura, who had won the Royal Rumble, win his first WWE Championship. And I could not have been more disappointed with how that match turned out.
I think... I understand that. I think in wrestling you can't always give the fans exactly what they want, and I think the result wasn't necessarily the problem. I think had they basically had a match on par with their Wrestle Kingdom match, I don't think you would have been that bothered if Shinsuke would have lost. You know what I mean?
I agree, but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. First, like you and I, we all knew, like, specifically because of the Wrestle Kingdom match. I'm like, oh, this is AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
This is going to be crazy. They're going to tear the house down. They didn't do that, and the ending sucked.
They teased it. They teased it from Money in the Bank the year before because they knew how hyped wrestling fans would be for that match. They did their first little interaction in the Money in the Bank match in June the year before. Oh my God, it's Dustin Rhodes in flares. Again, what a career renaissance for Dustin Rhodes as well through AEW. Kid Cash.
Yep. Oh my God, I totally forgot about Kid Cash.
Yeah, I forgot he existed. Kid Cash to me is the Kid Rock of wrestling. He just reminds me so much of him.
I knew you were gonna say that.
He just is Kid Rock, but as a wrestler, right?
Exactly. Yes.
I hope outside of character he's different than Kid Rock, but I don't know. But in character, he's just Kid Rock as a wrestler, right? If that's not his inspiration, I don't know what his inspiration was. Like when he first came up with the character. Forget,
when I see Dusty up close, the way his forehead was completely destroyed from bleeding so many times.
Yeah, there's two people I think of for like the worst foreheads in wrestling history, and it's Dusty Rhodes and Devon Dudley. Their foreheads are scarred, horrific messes, both of them. Which baffles me because I guess some people are just more prone to like worse scarring than others, because when you consider the likes of like Terry Funk and Ric Flair and Jon Moxley and how much those guys bleed, and they don't have that. And they all bled a lot, like so much throughout their careers. And none of them got that Dusty Devon forehead look. Like, it must just be certain people just scar real badly. Like, real badly. Yeah. So, so this match seems to be 4-0 as well, but at least there seems to have been a feud coming into it. Like, the previous match... By the way, who won that match? I wasn't watching. We were just chatting. Were you watching?
Primetime one.
Primetime.
Yeah, Primetime one.
Yay, Primetime. Go him.
He hit like this. Okay, anybody watching this, forgive me for saying it like this, because I don't know the name of his finisher, but he hit like a spinning rock bottom.
Oh, okay. Like a spinning solo. Yeah. Fair. Let's call it the spinning helix, because that was his first name, and it's called the spinning solo now. So he hit the spinning helix for the win. Nice.
There we go.
SoCal Val. Met her. She I think she actually lives in the UK now. She did a lot of UK indies. And I think moved here. I think she still lives here.
Oh my god. I didn't know how you were gonna finish that statement. She did a lot of UK indies, guys. I love, by the way, and I really hope I get to see on this pay-per-view, Velvet Sky. How smoking hot was Velvet Sky?
Velvet Sky was like, if Velvet Sky weren't famous in 2025 and someone showed me a picture, I would assume it was AI. It's unrealistically hot.
Okay, like, but with that being said, I got a question for you.
To me, Velvet Sky was always like, I'm watching her on her screen moving around, but even if I matched with her on a dating app and we had a video call, I'd still be like, what technology are you using to fake being a human? Like, because like no one looks like that. That's my take.
If you had the chance to spend the night with one, you gotta choose one at their peak.
Okay.
At their peak.
Okay.
Velvet Sky or Scarlet?
Scarlet Bordeaux.
Yeah.
Velvet Sky every day.
Oh my god. Okay, you didn't even. That was like not even difficult for you.
No. Well, you say at the peak, and I've just realised I'm kind of judging off current Scarlet, which I don't like her look as much anymore.
That's why I said peak. Yeah.
Yeah. It's still.
When you first told me about her.
Yeah, she was wild. She was the same. She was AI hot. Like she was like this isn't a real picture of a real person you've just shown me. You've put into an AI generator generate the hottest female human being possible. Like, yeah. Right. But no, yeah, Velvet Sky. So Velvet Sky, I'll tell you why, because they're probably equally hot-ish. Velvet Sky's got a bit of aura about her where I think she'd be wild. I know this isn't a very 2025 conversation, folks, but whatever. Like, I have a feeling,
right? All those years.
I have a feeling I'd have Velvet Sky would be crazy, like in a good way.
Yeah, I think so too, man.
Yeah,
she was,
like I think there's two very separate attributes that people interchange incorrectly, which is hot and sexy. They're about equally hot. Velvet Sky's way sexier than Scarlet.
Yes, agreed.
Like, sexy is like the attitude, the behavior, the personality, and like with relation to that side of things. And yeah, Velvet Sky's got Scarlet beat so much on that. Do we think this is legit? Oh no, it's not legit. Never mind. Never mind. By the way, I get that's heel misbehavior. What stops the doctor then from just saying, "Hey, ref, he just punched him in the penis"? Like. Why would the doctor ever lie? The referee would just believe the doctor, right? And he could just disqualify Kid Cash. Bit of a risky move, honestly.
I don't know why I just noticed this, but there's an old man in the crowd wearing an eye patch.
Okay. I haven't yet noticed him, so you're ahead of me. By the way, it's funny you were talking before about the Velvet Sky Scarlet thing, and I was saying it's not a very 2025 combo. But so me and a friend of mine.
See the eye patch?
Where am I looking?
See the guy with the red shirt at the top left? Watch when the camera goes back to this other view. There's a guy in a red shirt. See the guy in red shirt top left?
Yeah.
And then right next to him, there's an old man. His eye patch comes halfway down his face.
Oh yeah.
Why is the patch so big?
Maybe he's got big eyes. Yeah, no. So I used to have this thing, you know, the classic game FMK. I had a friend where we used to play that. It was a female friend, by the way, and it was really funny because the game was take it way too seriously. Like imagine you actually have to kill one of these three people, for example. Like
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
like, and it was funny how insignificant the F choice was. It was always just who was left was the F choice. It's like, well, I guess I'll have sex with them, because marrying someone and killing someone were always such more important decisions. like when you actually take it seriously, it was like, oh, I guess just whoever's left gets bedded, like, because like that's such an insignificant decision in comparison with the other two.
Yeah, I like that you explained the way too serious part, because for me, whenever I played that game, it was like whoever I didn't want to F or marry was the one that just like by default had to die.
Gets killed.
I didn't have a lot of thoughts about who needed to die.
So we had one come up where I can't remember who it was, but it was two people that I thought were really attractive and seemed like nice people. And there was also, and this isn't me saying she's not, by the way, but I just want to preface it by saying the other two choices were really good choices. And Ronda Rousey. And I said, I have to do FRM to Ronda Rousey because I don't think I could kill her.
Oh, okay. So in your game, the premise, right,
I have to kill her.
You actually must find a way to kill her.
Yeah, I have to do all three of the things. It makes no sense to say you have to do the F and the M, but not the K. You have to do all three. And I was like, how do I, like, am I given a tank? If I'm given a tank and taught how to use it, maybe I can kill Ronda Rousey. But if this is just like, there's 4 people in a room, I'm going to legally marry one, I'm going to kill one, and then me and the other one are going to go off and have some fun. Which do you do? Ronda Rousey's never getting chosen for kill because it'd be like, well, no, I just die there. I just lose a fight to the death with Ronda Rousey. So we were taking it to that level of like, no, you have to actually like justify that you could do it as well. Like,
can you ask for help? Like, can you call Holly home to help you out?
Yeah, if she's one of the other two, then I'm all right. It's like, Holly, get her.
Get her again.
Again. But yeah, it's like it's a very ridiculous game. It's a very ridiculous game up until the point where you take it way too seriously, and suddenly it becomes a really good thought experiment. Like, because it's like, oh, you actually have to justify why you would murder a person. Like, and it suddenly becomes basically a trolley problem.
That's crazy. Are you not allowed to use weapons?
No, I would say you're in an empty room with the 3 people. All are willing to do either of the first 2 and are willing to fight you to the death in hand-to-hand combat. That's the situation. That's it. You're just in a room with those 3 and you have to choose. You have to do one to each of the 3 and they're all happy to do any of them. So there's no dilemma over like consent and stuff like that. It's just yeah, they've all signed up for this. They all knew who they were signing up for, and they will all fight back if you choose to kill them though.
Can I give you 3 people right now?
Shoot.
Okay, here are your 3 people. Velvet Sky,
Scarlet Bordeaux, and Ronda
Scarlet,
Rousey.
or no.
Okay.
Prime Mike Tyson.
Oh my god.
Come on, I need to know your choices.
Right, so obviously I can't kill Mike Tyson, so I have to do one of the other 2.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. Knowing what I know about Mike Tyson and his questionable history, shall we say, his questionable legal history, I think marry him. Because I don't...
Just sleep in separate rooms.
Yeah. I'll just share his money. Like, that's fine. I'll just take his money. Like, hopefully he doesn't think to get me to sign a prenup and I'll just divorce him and take half the money. It's fine. That's fine. That works for me. Oh, but then you have to kill. Now, here's the thing. This gets interesting because if I kill Scarlet, I get Karrion Kross after me, and that man genuinely scares me. I mean, if I have sex with her, probably the same, but he'd be so much more angry, right, if I kill her.
Yeah.
So I think I kill Velvet Sky to not get Karrion Kross trying to kill me for the rest of my life.
Oh my god! So we went from like must be with Velvet Sky, and now she's not even gonna be
See,
living.
who you have sex with is the least important decision in those three. I'm telling you, every time it's the least important. Every single time.
For me, it's a little bit more important because if I'm honest, I think I would try to fuck Mike Tyson. And the reason why is because I don't want him around. Like, I know I can't kill him, but I don't want to have him around every day. If I try to fuck him, that's just one experience. If I marry him, I got to see him every day.
Okay, that's true, but I'm just throwing it out there. If you choose Mike Tyson, he is 100% topping you because he would win that fight, and I don't think he doesn't strike me as someone who would be down for being pegged.
No, and he's not going to be gentle either.
Exactly. That's why I'm not choosing him for that. That's why I'm choosing marry. Like you say, you can marry someone and just never have sex with them. That's fine. And never even really speak to them. Never ask my parents for the first 11 years of my life. You can be married to someone and just not speak to each other. It's fine.
That's crazy. Oh my god, man. This was a fun game. This was extreme.
Do you see what I mean about, like, I genuinely think the sex is the least important of the three factors by some distance. The kill is the most important one.
Actually having to kill.
Yeah, the kill one is way more important. A, because does someone deserve to die by being the least attractive person out of three? No, absolutely not. But also, like, yeah, when you take into account you would actually have to do it, and how would you do it? Yeah, you can put some people in that it's like quite difficult, like because like, yeah, I couldn't or I wouldn't actually kill that person, so you can't choose them, you know.
Yeah.
Like, in the scenario where you get weapons and stuff, then yeah, kill Mike Tyson. Easy. But it depends. You'd have to sort of pre-agree. By the way, how did Dustin Rhodes get away with using a bulldog as a finisher for like 20 years before he mixed it up?
But also, why did that referee just do a super fast count?
Oh, Kid Cash was annoying him, and I guess he just decided he wanted Dustin to win. referee babyface turn.
By the way, so Dustin moves around, in my opinion, much better today than he did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know when he went to do like that where he flops down on his back and then uppercuts you?
Mm-hmm.
He just, even though that move was just falling down on your back, he screwed it up.
Yeah.
Because he was a little bit, his body was probably hurting him at this time. Like, it looked really bad, man.
Who's this guy? I don't know who he is. Who is he?
I don't know, but he was sitting with Dusty on that truck.
Yeah, he was with Dusty in the truck, and he's doing this now.
Oh, no, Enzo Amore.
There's no way that's
this
Enzo
is
Amore.
Enzo Amore.
No.
Brad Maddox with blonde hair.
No, it's not. No.
It's not.
Who is that? Who is that? I need to look it up, though, because it's quite, like, as much as I wasn't watching week in, week out, I was fairly aware of TNA in these days and watched quite a bit of it. I don't know who that man is. Right, TNA Final Resolution 2005 review. Because hopefully they'll go through from top to bottom and we'll learn who the person was.
Look at Scott Hall.
Scott Hall! Rest in peace, bad guy. Love Scott Hall. Right, your host... Right, yeah, they're doing this in real detail. Johnny Fairplay. Who...
I've never heard that name in my life.
In the blue hell is Johnny Fairplay.
I've never heard that name, not once.
Johnny Fairplay, TNA. Johnny Fairplay, American former art consultant, professional wrestler, and reality TV personality. Twice competed on Survivor. Professional wrestling, right. Started wrestling in 1998 in North Carolina. Started his own promotion in Oregon, basically straight away after debuting, moved to Oregon and started a new promotion called New Dimension Wrestling. Worked as a personal assistant for Roddy Piper for a year and a half prior to Survivor, apparently. Signed to TNA after appearing on Survivor. He made his debut on January 21st, but was interrupted by AJ Styles.
Woo!
They feuded for several weeks, and then Fairplay brought in Lex Luger to get revenge on AJ Styles.
Oh my god.
He made brief non-wrestling appearances at both Final Resolution and Destination X. Well, we're watching Final Resolution now. In 2006, he was defeated by Molly Holly at a WCWA event. I made an appearance in Ring of Honor, apparently. Dragon Gate USA in 2011. Endorsing Jimmy Rave as the promotion's next breakout star. This is crazy. Who the hell is this guy? Well, there you go. That's who he is. Still none the wiser. But his first feud, and seemingly only real feud in TNA, was AJ Styles. I think it's really funny that in all the footage, Kevin Nash is like Silver Fox, and then he's just dyed his hair like a really unconvincing brown for the pay-per-view.
By the way, if I told somebody this clip was from the future, they'd be like, "Man, Logan Paul is still wrestling? That's crazy."
Wait, who? Jeff Jarrett?
Yeah, look at him right there.
Old Logan Hall, haggard Logan Paul.
Old Logan Paul. Logan, time to hang it up.
Oh god. By the way, I thought calling it the world's heavyweight title was a Nick Aldis quirk. They're calling it the world's heavyweight title here, and I'm pretty sure when I've watched like a throwback WCW event from like 1992 or something, they were calling it then as well. It's always had the S on Worlds, and I never realised until Nick Aldis did it. I don't know why he was the first person I ever noticed it with, but now I notice it everywhere.
I think the distinction being that this was the belt, this was the traveling belt, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the world's, as in this is everybody's heavyweight title since it goes around.
Yeah, but world heavyweight title still means that.
Okay, here's what I'm trying to say the distinction is. When world heavyweight title to me, if I had to like really like nitpick it, is like this is the title of this one promotion versus the world's, everybody's, because it goes to different companies.
That's interesting. I wouldn't distinguish that purely because you have like the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship. So it's not the World Heavyweight Championship because it's WWE's Championship, because they have that one. So like I think
but it doesn't leave the company.
I think WWE could do something really interesting by having the world champion actually defend it elsewhere. Who wouldn't want Gunther on the show for a match? Like, be great. Send him to Pro Wrestling Noah. They've got a good deal with them.
It's interesting, save for the fact that he's never going to lose it. It's not like these AEW wrestlers, they go to AAA and they actually walk out of there with AAA belts. That would never happen in WWE.
AEW wrestlers just win belts everywhere, but have you noticed no one from anywhere else ever gets an AEW belt? All their alliances are so one-sided. Like Wrestle Kingdom, I didn't actually do predictions for Wrestle Kingdom, but had I would have got so many right just because AEW titles were on the line.
Yep.
Like when you've got who was he fighting? Takeshita. Who was he fighting? Who was the Open champion?
Wrestle Kingdom?
Yeah. I can't remember. Was it Goto?
I didn't. Well, first
no, Goto won the Rambo. It was Shingo. It was Shingo. But Takeshita was never winning that. Was never losing that match from the moment I learned that his title was on the line as well. I was like,
exactly.
Well, are they gonna have? Is he really gonna? Is Shingo gonna go to AEW for a bit? Probably not. So he's probably not winning the AEW International title then. Like, there we go. Next prediction. It just felt so obvious.
Can I just say how much I hate every piece of music in TNA? It's all so generic. Like how if you close your eyes, and maybe because I didn't watch back then, but like I don't know, anybody's song could also be anybody else's song to me.
So yes, generally there's a few bits of gold that come out of TNA though. Every so often they absolutely smash it. Jeff Jarrett's "My
The Main
World"
Event Mafia.
is a banger. I don't actually remember the Main Event Mafia music off the top of my head.
It was like a high pitch, like I can't like do it, but it was like I don't know, but like, that's the only song that sticks in my head. Is the Main Event Mafia song was so dope.
So I still don't remember it. But yeah, Jeff Jarrett's, Christian Cage, banger. By the way, Christian is a contestant for who's had the most amazing songs over the course of their career. He's had so many.
Yeah.
Also, AJ Styles' original one. Like, just not even that great, but just iconic. Just like so recognizable. But yeah, generally like you say, quite generic. Like the one that always annoyed me, and I don't even think it's necessarily a bad song. It's just when Kurt Angle went to TNA and got some rap song, and it's like, this could have been anyone's theme. This could have been anyone's.
Exactly.
This doesn't sound like Kurt Angle. You know what I mean?
Unique to Kurt Angle.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like Kurt Angle. It sounds like a wrestler. And Kurt Angle deserves more than that.
Agreed.
Now, ironically, Kurt Angle's song in WWE wasn't even written for Kurt Angle. It existed way before him. The Patriot used it. But forget that.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, the Patriot used Kurt Angle's theme way before Kurt Angle was ever in WWE, yeah.
You just dropping gems right now? Casually dropping lore like anybody else knew that? That's crazy.
I thought that was quite commonly known, but maybe not. I thought that was quite a well-known one. Do you know about Randy Orton using CM Punk's?
Yes, yeah.
This Fire Burns, yeah, for one show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One show, exactly. Yeah.
One show, and it never got shown again because on the network version they changed it. So it was his Mercy Drive song.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, they changed it. So you'll never see it because unless someone still has a recording of that show where they taped it to watch it later and they still have it, that footage just simply doesn't exist anymore. Like, like I mean, you can easily make it by just removing the Mercy Drive song and putting the song over it, but the actual genuine footage doesn't exist unless, like I say, someone has a videotape of it from somewhere.
This reminds me of back in the day when I had I still have an Xbox 360, but back when I first had it, Xbox 360 used to allow you to play music while playing a video game.
Yeah.
And so what you could do back then was you could be playing music while playing a wrestling game. And then because of that, in your mind, it was like you could have wrestlers coming out to special tracks, as opposed to the one that was actually supposed to be.
There was a few games where on certain consoles you could actually put custom music in off your console if the music was loaded onto your console. I don't know for a fact it was these games, but around the sort of SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 era, around that time somewhere, there was like maybe 2 or 3 games in a row where you could do it. And then they removed it because copyright. But it's like, what copyright are you infringing by? Like, is that any different than me just pressing play on my computer speakers while the person comes out? Is that any more of a copyright infringement? I'm in my house on my own, listening to music, playing a video game. What are you talking about, copyright? Like, it just seems so weird.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, I don't see how that affects the song's copyright at all.
Do you have any of the SmackDown vs. Raw games?
All of them.
Oh.
I have every PlayStation WWE game since WWF Warzone. Currently.
I have a lot of them, but not all of them.
I'm a hoarder, especially with video games. Like I have close to 1,000 video games in total. I've completed about 4, but I have close to 1,000. ADHD, yay!
You and I are the same in that regard. Last year in 2024, I finally got my hands on another copy of SmackDown Here Comes the Pain.
Nice. Hot take, not the best wrestling game on PlayStation. Shut Your Mouth is the one before it. I much prefer Shut Your Mouth.
God damn it.
And I know people love Here
I
Comes
gotta
the
go
Pain,
buy that.
but I love... You know why I love Shut Your Mouth? Because I'm a stupid gamer,
Right.
and that was the one where you could jump off the SmackDown fist and the King of the Ring chair.
Oh yeah, I love that.
And that's the difference maker for me. Yes, Raven with the cell. By the way, let's talk about this match for a second, because I've realised something. When I said I don't remember Eric Watts ever showing up in TNA, I absolutely do. I remember Eric Watts now that I've seen him. I remember this man on my screen having been in TNA and me watching it. Despite the fact that they use wrestlers' names and there's crowd signs, I thought it was Bryan Adams.
Oh.
I thought it was Bryan Adams at the time. I never realised it was Eric Watts. Maybe I understood his name was Eric Watts, but maybe because I wasn't like that sort of smart on wrestling at the time, I think I just thought it was Bryan Adams and they just called him Eric Watts. Because I'd never heard of Eric Watts, like, at that point in my wrestling fandom. Like, I just didn't know that lore.
He's very tough.
He looks a bit like Bryan Adams, right?
Yeah, he does. Oh, dang, that was a crazy little blow. Which, by the way, one of the things I didn't like when Raven had him down in the corner and was like, they think where they wash your face with their boot? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Raven did it to him 3 times in a row, but for some reason, the first time Raven did it, he didn't sell it at all. He literally didn't move. But then the next few times he really sold it.
Probably because Raven actually just kicked him in the face the other 2 times. Like, all right, you're not going to move, are you not? Oosh. I'll make you sell. You don't have to sell. I'll make you sell. Exactly. I love Raven, by the way. I'm a big Raven guy. And funnily enough, I think I will go up against people for this title. I am the biggest Raven fan that is not a Raven fan from ECW. Because I never watched ECW, like, in the old days. I'm a Raven fan purely from WCW.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to claim I'm the biggest Raven fan that never saw him in ECW.
I mean, whatever happened to Raven coming down in the black leather jacket with the jeans and the black t-shirt?
Yeah, the WCW look, yeah. And I think his ECW look as well. But that's what I remember him for. Yeah, it was great. And then he went to WWE and started painting his face and bleaching his hair and wearing a skirt. And I was like, yeah, it's still a cool look, but this doesn't feel like Raven. This feels like a different guy with a cool look. You know, like, I don't know. I get the reinventing yourself and what have you. Wow, Eric. Like, I was going to say Eric's not been that bad in this match overall, but he showed his lack of natural athleticism there, didn't he? Like, he managed to jump off the seat of the chair, and after jumping off it, was already lower than the seat of the chair. Like, he managed to jump down. He didn't go up at all. Which is crazy. His vertical leap is negative.
Yeah. It's so funny because he's already so tall. Like, how could you not find a way to height?
When he's standing there, he's taller than Raven. When he's jumping, he's shorter than him. Yeah, the lack of natural athleticism on the man is crazy.
Why? I mean, we both saw it and recognized it, but then nothing happened afterward. Is Ultimate Warrior going to be on this show for some reason?
I have no idea. I honestly hope not. Like, for what I hope these days of obvious reasons. But like, I guess maybe, because like I say, it wouldn't surprise me. TNA 2005 paid a boatload of money to have Warrior on the show for some reason. Like, yeah. I don't know who the hidden benefactor of TNA is, but the fact that they're still in business and the fact that they hired so many huge names, someone rich really cared about TNA, and still does by the looks of things. It's crazy. Crazy that they're still in business.
How come at this point, and again, I didn't watch TNA, so I don't know, was there no Dixie Carter at this time?
No. I think this is pre-Dixie. This is pre-Hogan and Bischoff, I'm pretty sure.
That's crazy.
That might be the worst super kick ever, but I don't even think I can necessarily blame Raven, because Eric Watts put his hands on Raven's boot and pushed him away. Pushed him over. Oh my god.
What was that? What was that?
He did the Rikishi bump off a clothesline, except
he jumped the completely wrong way.
Yeah. Except, yeah, there was like...
That doesn't make sense to go that direction.
You know when you get like lag on an online game?
Yeah.
It was like that. Oh.
A drop toe hold?
How dare you drop toe hold Raven, the master of the drop toe hold? Oh, it's the STF. This was apparently his finisher. Well, screw that, says Raven. Screw you and your finisher. I'm going back to the worst ankle lock ever. Like, this doesn't look like an ankle lock. It looks like Raven just giving his ankle a cuddle. Also, something that's always bothered me about the ankle lock, and even when Kurt Angle does it, when people put an ankle lock on the right... Oh, dear God. Is Raven sandbagging him a bit here? It feels a bit like Raven might be sandbagging him a little bit here, because he didn't even jump then. Oh, okay. No, you know what? That was a...
Did you see the referee?
Oh my God, he beat him.
Look at Raven.
Is Bill Watts booking this?
Yes.
Bill,
the big rig, if that's what that chokeslam was called, that was a vicious chokeslam once he got him up.
I mean, yeah, fair play to Raven. Like, that was a hell of a jump. I don't believe Eric Watts lifted Raven that high with one hand.
No.
Eric Watts can't lift himself that high.
Not even with the chair, right?
Not even with a chair. Not even with a trampoline do I think Eric Watts could get that kind of height.
What was that celebration? Like, both arms almost went up, and the left arm was like, fuck it, I'm staying down.
What? Did this match ever happen in WCW? Because when... Oh. We're getting the same Raven lore as always.
Right now, Raven looks like if you combined Jeff Hardy with Triple H.
Yeah, when he was sat with his hair over his face, he reminded me of like the awkward sort of shortish hair Jeff Hardy phase.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Emir? Do we believe Raven's apology? I'm undecided. I'm undecided on this matter. Yes, right. This is not the first time this match happened. Eric Watts faced Scotty Flamingo back in WCW. Scotty Flamingo being, of course, Raven when he was in WCW. No, like the first time.
Scotty Flamingo, I never knew that.
Yeah. He was like a ladies' man kind of character. Like a cocky, arrogant, I think I'm really gorgeous kind of character. Wore really bright colours and stuff.
Venus?
No, more like do you remember Johnny B. Bad?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Mark Merrow?
Yeah, but specifically Johnny B. Bad, Mark Merrow. That kind of character, but not quite as flamboyant, if that makes sense.
Little Richard. He was cosplaying as Little Richard, and then his wife began cheating on him. His wife being Sable, and then he said, "When I figured out who this guy is, I'm gonna kick his ass." And then he found out it was Brock Lesnar, and he himself said, "You can keep her, man. I don't want you to kill me." We're cool,
Brock. Again, coming back to the FMK, know when you can't actually kill the person.
I love listening to him talk about it because he's like, when I figured out he's like, I was gonna kill this guy, I was gonna beat him up. Then I found out it was Brock, and I was like, well, I can't. There's nothing I can do. I guess he wins.
Mark Merrow, since he went on like his real life redemption arc. By the way, look, he's just walking into the arena right now. Hello.
R.I.P. R.I.P. baby.
But so classic TNA from this era that they've got Roddy Piper for some reason. Like, it's crazy the people they signed.
They just had a skirt, hadn't they?
It's crazy the people they managed to sign, considering how big they realistically were. The signings were unreal.
Well, I kind of agree with you, but I will say this. obviously these guys, Roddy Piper and Dusty Rhodes, and some of these guys, they didn't make the kind of money
Yeah,
that wrestlers make today. And
yeah.
so no matter how famous they were, they need, and I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way.
No, I get
I'm
you.
just saying they needed to still be making money and take look at Scott Hall. What is he doing?
Elvis
was
Hall?
this the Elvis gimmick you were talking about?
No, he wasn't one of the three Elvises.
Are you sure? Are you
Yeah,
sure?
100%. This is a completely separate decision he's made.
What is happening?
I'm loving NWO Elvis, though.
This is so good.
You know, like the running gag of just using NWO and then whoever because of NWO's thing to be like a really bad sort of mimicry of it. Yeah, NWO Elvis in the building. I love it. And it works so well because it's Scott Hall. You know what? It genuinely, when you see Scott Hall like walk into the ring as he was, and you could tell he's kind of struggling, like just to even walk to the ring. I think if this is an actual match, which it seems to be, which is wild to me.
Is this Jeff Hardy?
Yep. Jeff Hardy on his way to save his brother from being beaten up. Do a little dance first.
Hey, he's still dancing at the top of the ramp.
But yeah, I think this match is going to make me a little sad because like I really love Scott Hall, and seeing this version of Scott Hall, I hate it because it's like the man was struggling so much with so many things. And I think this match is going to be dreadful, and it's not going to do Scott Hall justice at all.
Jeff is not the one drunk in this match.
For once in TNA.
Did TNA always have the tunnel? Or is this just because of the pay-per-view?
Yeah, the Impact Zone, the original Impact Zone always had the tunnel. At one point, they had two tunnels. Oh, they still do, I think, at opposite ends of the arena. They had a babyface tunnel and a heel tunnel, and they came from opposite sides of the ring.
So is that where AEW got it from?
I think, yeah, probably, yeah. You know what? You know what though? Do you know what? It's the AEW babyface and heel tunnel that they never expressly refer to, but it's a great little storytelling device because have you noticed that Hangman Adam Page still comes out the babyface tunnel every single time because he still firmly believes he did nothing wrong. I love that tiny little bit of detail that they put in. That it's there just for the fans that really want to pay attention to that level, and everyone else won't even think anything of it because they probably not noticed that all the baby faces and heels come out of separate tunnels.
Is there some reason? I have two questions. Number one, is there some reason why Piper needs to be the referee? And number two, Scott Hall now looks normal. Did he take off a Elvis wig, or why? Does
yeah. He took off the wig. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? I didn't see him take it off.
Why did Scott Hall's hairline recede during Jeff Hardy's entrance?
It was so confusing.
Okay, this is a good bit. This is a good bit, and this is a good way to extend the length of a match that Scott Hall clearly can't do a 15-minute match in 2005, but he can do 5 minutes of shenanigans and then a 10-minute match, you know?
You know what I like the most? Scott Hall's wearing a pair of pants, but underneath the pants, he still has the matching knee pads.
Yes. Scott, I was going to check Piper. I was just going to say, by the way, I'm a bit offended that Roddy Piper didn't even check Jeff Hardy. He's found a weapon on a Piper. The referee's got a weapon. This is a good bit. Yeah, I love this.
Every time I see something like this, though, and I hate to be like a Debbie Downer, but how sad is it that like 2 of the 3 people in this ring have passed away?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. It's Scott Hall is one of the ones that like I think one of the wrestler deaths that affected me the worst, the only ones I can think of that potentially got me worse were Eddie and Bray.
Yeah.
Because generally, I have quite a laissez-faire approach to like celebrity death, so I'm like, well, I didn't know the person, yeah, it sucks, but there's people out there that will friends and family, like, let them mourn them. I don't really have any reason to mourn this person. But Scott Hall specifically is one of the absolute key reasons I even watch wrestling. So, like, yeah, when he died, that stung a bit because I was like, the NWO versus Sting storyline is what I first saw and why I stuck with wrestling, why I liked it the first time I watched it, and why I still watch it now. Do you know what I mean? It's so in effect, it's why I know you. For example, Scott Hall is a big part of the reason why we know each other, among plenty of other people I can name that I probably wouldn't know if it weren't for the great performances of the likes of Scott Hall and Sting when I was first watching it. You know, it's so that one hit pretty hard. I think it's like one per kind of generation of my wrestling fandom, because Eddie was like when I think I got like properly into like the wrestling aspect of wrestling, Eddie was my favorite then. And then the modern era, it was Bray. You know, like the creativity and like stuff like the storytelling aspect of it was Bray. So like, yeah, I think that's why is they're like the biggest losses I've had from like each of my eras of liking wrestling. If that makes sense.
Yes, and speaking of losing Eddie, and I don't know what month this show was, but wasn't it 2005 when he died?
Yeah, it was November though. This is January, so he's still with us at the moment in this universe.
Okay.
But like to give a couple of examples we've seen on the show, Piper and Dusty, right? I acknowledge how great they were and how influential they were on the wrestling business, but they weren't my guys. Like, I only really discovered Piper in WCW, and I think everyone can agree his WCW stuff wasn't the highlight of his career. Dusty, kind of the same. Like, I wasn't a wrestling fan back then, so I don't have this, like, personal connection to them. So when they died, I was like, that sucks. But that was my whole reaction, was like, oh, that's a shame. Like, you hate to hear that someone's passed away. You know, they've left behind a family and a bunch of friends and what have you. But I wouldn't say I was personally affected by it at all, because they just weren't my guys. But, like, yeah, Scott Hall and Eddie and Bray, yeah, big time. I was like, oh, yeah, those ones sting a bit. Like, I still had that perspective of they weren't my friends, they weren't my family. To be honest, I would put Scott Hall third out of those for one reason and one reason only, which is Scott Hall was already retired and done. And, like, you know, like, so I wasn't losing out on anything personally, if that makes sense. It sounds kind of selfish, but Bray Wyatt was still going, was in his peak. Eddie Guerrero was in his peak. And it was like, I don't get to see that anymore. Whereas Scott Hall, I already didn't get to see anymore. You know, so there was a lesser loss. But I was still gutted because of, like I say, what he meant to me in terms of, like, my wrestling fandom.
Yeah.
Who would you say, if you had to, like, who was your, like, worst loss or losses from wrestling? Like, the ones that personally affect you the worst?
Well, I definitely also have Eddie and Bray on the list, but I would say, and this is going to sound wild, but you have to understand my emotions at the time. I was,
I think I know who you're going to say. Can I guess?
Okay, go ahead.
Shad.
Yeah, go ahead.
Shad Gaspard.
No,
I was thinking because of like, I was thinking because of like how tragic it was. I thought maybe that like, because he's one that, despite not having a personal connection, I was gutted to hear about that, because I was like, holy cow, like what, like that's just a tragedy. That's not even quote just a death. That's a tragedy as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but go on. Who was your one? The other one.
Owen Hart.
Okay. Yeah.
When Owen Hart died, I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was a kid, but I was at a time where, like, I had recently been exposed to death twice.
Right.
At the time that he died.
Yeah.
And I was still trying to understand the concept, but one thing I knew, I was like,
sorry.
oh, he's never coming back.
Did you see that?
That was so weird. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go on. Carry on.
And I was so, when Owen Hart died, I was stunned, and I was just crying. And I remember, like, my mom came in the living room, and she's like, "What's going on? What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Owen Hart just died," and she didn't know what the hell I was talking about.
Yeah.
But I was so broken up about it that she actually went and purchased me a condolences card that I was supposed to send to his family in the mail. I never did it, but like that's how far I went with it at the time.
Yeah, but that's really sweet of her as well, to be fair. That's really nice. To take that seriously instead of just, because some parents would just dismiss their kids' feelings and be like, it's just a character on TV, you know, like. Yeah. Like, so that's really nice. But Yeah, no, I get the Owen Hart, because what I said about Shad applies there as well. It wasn't just a death; it was also a tragedy. Like, it was also like the way someone dies kind of does matter sometimes, like in terms of
Yes.
how impactful it can be on you personally. And like you say, if you're already struggling with like you say loss at the time anyway, it can just. The Owen Hart one didn't really get me because I wasn't a WWF guy at the time. I heard he died. Some of my friends were
Yeah.
WWF fans. I was still a WCW kid at the time where Owen Hart died, so I didn't really know who he was. I just knew he was Bret Hart's brother, like, so it didn't really hit me particularly hard.
I'll tell you another one that got me, and I know we found out all the information we found out after the fact, but initially, Chris Benoit,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. Chris Benoit,
Uh-oh.
the first time oh, is that Abyss?
Yep.
Um, the first time that I went to see WWF live, like, as I was running up the stairs to go to my seat, no, sorry, it wasn't the very first time.
Oof.
It was the second time. As I was running up the stairs to get to my seat, Chris Benoit's music went off. And I was so excited. And I got like right into the arena, like where the seats were, as he was coming down the ramp. I got to see him wrestle live. I loved him so much. And when he died, I was just like, oh my God. And then obviously it was very confusing in the aftermath, all the information that came out and the circumstances surrounding
Yeah.
like what likely actually happened with his death. So, but by the time that I found that out, I had already taken the loss
Yeah.
as if, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, you saw the tribute show, like, when no one knew. Like, yeah, it was...
exactly.
And, like... I don't want to spark some, like, mad debate, because obviously I'm not justifying what happened at all, but I consider what happened to Chris Benoit and his family, like, a big tragedy, because we all know, like, I think everyone knows at this point that he was not in his right mind and why he wasn't in his right mind. And, like...
Right.
And the fact that it took... What gets me about that tragedy is it took that for people to be like, hey, maybe hitting each other in the head with solid pieces of metal isn't the best idea ever.
Right.
And it's like, I understand that with hindsight's 2020 and like common sense and what, but was that not common sense at the time? Hitting each other in the head with pieces of metal, not good. Like,
Yeah.
was that never? You know what I mean? Like, that just feels a bit like obvious. And I still struggle with like the the classic watch-alongs that I do of like old WWE and WCW and stuff with the chair shots to the head. I cringe at them, not because I'm particularly sensitive to them happening as such. It's that knowledge that every single one of them may have contributed to worsening that person's health and mental health in such a significant way. Like it's like. And just no one thought anything of it at the time. And it's just crazy to me.
To your point, when I was listening to Taker's podcast the other day, and him and the guy that does the show with him, like rediscussed, they were talking about like big chair shots over the years, and the one that they both agreed was probably the most brutal, because they were trying to say like Undertaker would hit guys too hard with the chair, and he said, well, I hit guys as hard as they hit me, but also I hit with the same consistency every time. But they agreed that the worst chair shot was that unprotected shot The Rock to Mankind with his family in the front row.
100%. The fact that do you know what? The fact that Mick Foley has turned out how he has, despite the number of insane level concussions he must have had throughout his career, is testament to how nice a guy he started out as. That this is the broken down version. Like, is still a really nice guy. It's crazy. Well, speaking of generic music,
this sounds it sounds like the Wolfpack music, right?
A bit, but not really.
Also,
it's got the same beat. It's got the same the bass beat is the same, isn't it?
Yeah, like the little riff or whatever.
The bum 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 bum. The one that Gorilla stole from a keyboard. It's the same beat though, but the rest of it's trash.
I saw I saw that Dude Love made an appearance at an indie show like last week.
Did he? Oh, that's cool.
I'll have
Did
to
you?
find the clip and tag you in it. But
Yeah, do. Please do.
Self
Oh,
I-5.
wow, they've not ventured far from his WCW music with this one. And that was already on sketchy ground with copyright. Because
Exactly.
it just smells like
It
Teen
says
Spirit.
Nirvana.
It just smells
Yeah,
like
it's
Teen
super
Spirit.
Nirvana.
It's not even a
But this still
remix.
sounds exactly like
It just smells like Teen Spirit. How WCW
it.
and subsequently TNA got away with that for so long, I have no idea.
With the
It's
right
literally
guy,
just smells like Teen Spirit. I think we need to keep talking over this in case oh no, I'm not showing this. Never mind. I was gonna say in case I get copyright struck.
I feel stupid and contagious.
It is actually just Nirvana. It's not even like tweaked. It's just the same.
That's crazy.
It's like non-wrestling fans never believe like how close this is if I tell them. I'm like, yeah, no, they just literally used Nirvana without licensing it. And they're like, no, it must have been like their own version. I was like, no. I promise you it was just Nirvana.
What about Sandman's music though? Why was there no issues with Sandman's music?
Well, I mean, that was ECW. They just didn't. They just outwardly broke the law with everyone's music. But WCW generally didn't. And then just for some reason, DDP's was just Nirvana.
Wait, so I just want to be clear. DDP, Monty Brown, and Kevin Nash, which Kevin Nash is totally, there's no more, this is so Kevin Nash to just be in the corner watching everybody else wrestling.
Yep.
But these guys, the winner of the triple threat match goes on to face Jarrett later tonight, right?
Has it been specified it's later tonight? I know it's a number one contender match. I can't remember if it's been specified for later tonight.
I'm just saying, like, this match, maybe I'm misreading the situation. And I know DDP is a star historically, obviously, and Kevin Nash is a star historically. Monty Brown on the rise. But when I look at the crowd and how I feel right now, I don't care about who's in this ring.
Fair. I think this crowd isn't particularly doing it justice. Monty Brown was hot in early TNA. Like, he was there's a reason he's in a number one contender match against DDP and Kevin Nash. Like, they're throwing him in with like absolute legends in a number one contender match because I think at one point he was probably the pick for like the next big thing out of TNA. Like, ahead of AJ Styles, he was the pick. Like, I think at one point, the one that everyone
Do him
saw
and
as the
Styles
next
have
big
any
thing.
bangers?
Pardon?
Do Monty and Styles have any bangers?
I don't remember them ever going against each other. Maybe though. Like, quite possibly. Let's have a look.
This is gonna be such a random memory, but remember the cat, Ernest Miller?
Oh, I love the cat. Yeah. Monty Brown versus AJ Styles. Let's Google it. There's a multi-man match with Abyss and Raven. There's a tag match with Sean Waltman and Jeff Jarrett. The first few results, nothing showing up a one-on-one match. So I'm gonna say no, but with an asterisk that's I did a 10-second Google. So maybe.
Did they
Look at Kevin Nash.
Why is he doing that?
Because he's being like, look at me, I'm big strong too. He's mocking Monty Brown, isn't he, in the way he stands. It's pretty funny.
Were they in TNA at the same time?
Yeah. I feel like
Because I haven't seen AJ Styles' face on this show at all.
Yeah, no, neither have I. Like, maybe he was out injured or something, but he was definitely around because AJ Styles was in TNA from the start till when he went to New Japan, almost solidly. Like, there was very little time that he wasn't, like, a featured part of the show in that time. Like, only injuries and stuff like that would keep him off the show, generally. So I don't know if he was injured at the time or out of favour. Maybe just not that big a deal yet. They've got he could be in the Ultimate X. I don't even know who's in that, but they've got the Ultimate X scaffolding set up, so I assume there's an Ultimate X match at some point.
I mean, come on, man. This triple threat match where the two older guys take
What?
turns just chilling.
But it's. I don't mind that because they portraying, look, Monty Brown's a threat. Da da da. They're putting Monty Brown over in a way with this. But my problem there is DDP didn't try and break up that pin. It's a number 1 contender match for the world title, and he didn't try and break up the pin. He was just gonna let Kevin Nash pin Monty Brown. Like what? Does he not want to be number 1 contender? Because if he doesn't, he can just leave and just let Kevin Nash and Monty Brown fight, I guess. Like,
the most hotly contested debate in my household, literally on a daily basis, between me and my 15-year-old son, is who's the real GOAT, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. And I never stopped showing my son clips of LeBron James missing shots and then refusing to run back on defense. He just stays on the other end and doesn't really feel like he needs to do much. Okay. And that's what I was thinking of when I was watching these guys take turns not doing, like you mentioned, like, why would you not try to break up the pin?
Yeah. So I have no knowledge on basketball to form a foundation for an opinion on the debate. I will say, though, I don't think you have to try the hardest to be the GOAT. Like, if you're talking attitude, then yeah, it comes into it. But if you're talking pure ability, the greatest of all time, who's the best basketball player, like, it comes down to whether you consider effort to be part of being a good basketball player or whether just raw talent alone is enough. Is the debate, isn't it? Essentially, it sounds like that.
Yeah, I think for basketball, the reason why it matters in basketball is because there's so many factors that go into it, but being able to play defense, which is literally half of the whole game,
yeah,
you can't just like act like you don't need to do that part.
Yeah.
It's kind of like think about it. Would they give greatest of all time to a wrestler who could only speak but couldn't wrestle, or could only wrestle but couldn't speak?
I think a lot of people do definitely give that to one or the other, yeah. I think a lot of people give it to the likes of Hogan or like a Chris Benoit if people rate it just on like in ring. Like Chris Benoit was never the most compelling promo. He can speak, but he's not
eliminated. I'm sorry. Was this an over the top rope match?
Yeah, what?
He's been eliminated. Apparently, you could get tossed over the top rope. Now it's a one-on-one match.
So can you still win by chucking someone over the top rope and pin?
Well, yes. Yeah, it's 3 ways, apparently. Pinfall, submission, or over the top rope. He's going to pull him off.
Yep. He was in the wrong place. He made it very obvious by the fact that he went to the wrong side of the ring and had to scurry around. Instead of just standing there casually. He almost rolled him back into the pin.
Over the top rope. That's crazy.
That'd have been such a funny finish.
By the way, Monty Brown, let me tell you right now, Monty Brown is putting DDP over so hard right now.
I know.
It was 1 diamond cutter, and he still almost got pinned the second time.
Yeah, he still got pinned like 10 seconds later nearly.
And if you looked at his face, he looked absolutely knocked out.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, right, so Nash and DDP saw Monty Brown as such a threat that they treated it a bit like a tag team handicap match to start with. Fair. You're putting Monty Brown over massive. At the point where Kevin Nash has been eliminated, now Monty Brown needs to demolish DDP, not this. Because if they needed both of them, and they knew they needed both of them to have any chance of beating Monty Brown, well, now they don't have both of them. So now Monty Brown just needs to destroy DDP, right? If you're trying to put him over.
I can't believe, yes, I agree with that. And there's 2 things that are weird now. I can't see Nash, but if Nash is still out there, why? That's number 1. And number 2, why would you eliminate Nash so early in the match?
I don't know, maybe he didn't fancy working more than like 5 minutes.
I mean, yes, that's totally Kevin Nash, but still, like...
So we are still looking at over-the-top rope eliminations as a possibility.
Yes,
by
that's
the
what I'm thinking, because I didn't... Yeah, I didn't even know that that was a possibility
No.
to begin with.
I
But
don't
like,
feel like that was explained. I know we're not exactly doing a great job of listening to the commentary because this is a video about us chatting. If you want to listen to the commentary, go just watch the show. But like, yeah, I don't feel like it was expressly explained. Right, Monty. Two is what happens when you pin a guy after not your finisher and he kicks out after the referee slaps the mat twice. Why do you look so confused by this? I hate that in wrestling. What? How did he kick out of a clothesline? It's because it's a clothesline, mate. Like, you're not Stan Hansen or JBL. He kicked out of a clothesline.
Okay, but why? Okay, but referee, why didn't you just count the 3? I had him down.
I had him down for 2. Why didn't you just count 3?
Yeah, like, hello. How long must this continue?
There's not much that bugs me more in terms of things that happen really frequently in wrestling than wrestlers being made to look like they don't understand wrestling. Here we go.
That was the weakest pounce of all time.
That's the worst pounce ever. Well, the pounce really strongly depends on the person taking it to launch themselves, and DDP just kind of fell over.
But Monty Brown just kind of like, I think he ran into, that's the problem with the 6-sided ring, in my opinion, too, which I don't know that it's actually less square footage. But Monty Brown got over to DDP, I think, much quicker than he thought he would, and didn't have a chance to, like, fully extend his body at him. He ran into him so fast. He was like, oh, crap, you're already here?
Yeah, but DDP used to
wrestle. Look how fast he runs into him. Look.
Yeah. He did used to wrestle in WCW, though, DDP. So, like, he should know how quick someone's coming, because they used to wrestle in a little card, like, a little figurine ring, you know? The WCW ring was tiny compared with the WWE one. It was like 16 square feet smaller, wasn't it? Because it was like 4 feet each way smaller. Like, that's a lot.
Crazy.
16 square feet smaller is crazy.
Look at that weird ass face he's making. Is he gonna pull him up and shake his hand?
Do you think he's that muscular that he can't relax his traps? Because he's just he looks like he's constantly just holding his shoulders up, doesn't he? Like, actively doing it. Is he doing it consciously to look more hench, or is he just incapable of relaxing his traps because they're that muscular?
Oh,
yeah, I heard that.
They're just using this music.
Random Disturbed reference, but like, I don't even know if it was still about. Look at baby Scott D'Amore.
That's crazy. By the way, Monty Brown obviously is coming off as Lashley before Lashley.
Yeah. Timu
and
Lashley.
Perhaps, I think it starts with Ahmed Johnson with the red tights and the red scheme.
Yeah. Okay then. FMK. Peak, all at the peak. Ahmed Johnson, Monty Brown, and Bobby Lashley.
Oh my God, just kill me. Why would I choose any of that?
Well, just pick your kill first and pick the one you think would kill you. It's easy.
Monty Brown, Ahmed Johnson, and who's the third option?
And Bobby Lashley.
Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley's so nice, I would marry him. He's just really
Bobby Lashley
guy.
seems like a really nice guy outside of character. Yeah, he does. He does seem like a good guy. By the way, can we just talk about the sheer talent levels that came out of Team Canada? Team Canada was Eric Young, Peter Williams, the Canadian Destroyer inventor, Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. That's such a TNA team. Crazy. For TNA, that's like that's like TNA's evolution. Like, and Scott D'Amore managing them, by the way. He went on to run the company at one point. Like, that's a crazy team.
And beloved Scott D'Amore, everybody.
And people are letting their contracts run out just because they let Scott D'Amore go.
So the thing about Eric Young is, and maybe I'm getting this wrong, but as a guy who didn't watch a lot of TNA, one of my justifications for not watching at a time was I hated the fact, if I'm getting this right, that they basically tried to make Eric Young be their bootleg version of Daniel Bryan.
I was gonna say Wish.com Daniel Bryan. Yeah, they totally did. Yeah, that's the worst thing that Eric Young did. I would say everything else was pretty good.
That's the only thing I saw.
Fair.
And I was so mad at him because it's like, why would the company do it? And as a wrestler, why would you allow that gimmick to be put on you?
Those tag belts look tiny, don't they?
Remember the first women's championship in AEW?
Yeah, the little toy belt. Well, it was designed for Riho to hold, wasn't it? So.
Yeah.
And then they gave it to Nyla Rose, and it literally looked like a toy because she's like massive. It literally just looked on Riho. It looked like the World Heavyweight Championship, the big gold, and then on Nyla Rose, it looked like a toy. It was crazy.
Hey, who's is that Cowboy James Storm?
Cowboy James Storm and Wildcat Chris Harris.
Him and Bobby Roode, who go on to become Beer Money, are actually against each other at this time.
Yeah, Beer Money. Beer Money. And of course, Chris Harris, who famously went on to be Braden Walker in WWE for like a week and then left again. Was that in? I don't even think that was NXT. Was that in the WWE ECW days? I think it was. I think that was on ECW.
Is Beer Money? Is it fair? And I don't know, so I'm asking, not telling. Is it fair to say that Beer Money was TNA's version of APA?
If they had a version of APA, yeah, it would be Beer Money. Not quite, but yeah, they, a bit, but not really. Yeah. The thing I never really understood was where the money came from in that name, because James Storm's gimmick wasn't that he was rich or anything. So, Bobby Roode's gimmick wasn't that he was rich or something. So the beer came from James Storm, but I don't know why Bobby Roode's half of the tag team name was Money, like at all.
So I never took it to mean that they were rich. I took it to mean like actually just money for beer.
They were wrestling so they could buy beer.
Yeah.
Wrestling for beer money. That seems like a bit of an insult. That feels like they're wrestling for $20 and a hot dog rather than like actually professional wrestlers.
See, this is why I didn't know that Bobby Roode was Canadian, because when I think of Beer Money, I think like some good old boys from the South who just want to drink and have a good time.
We all know Canadians don't drink beer. We all know that. That's a fact. It's a known fact. Beer hasn't actually been invented in Canada yet. We know this.
Well, you combine the fact that James Storm was a goddamn cowboy, and I'm telling you, man. But just like I didn't know Jinder Mahal was Canadian. How would I ever figure that out?
Because he was hailed as being from like the exotic subcontinent of India or whatever they called it. And it's like the man's Canadian. Stop being racist. Just because he's brown doesn't mean he's Indian. WWE.
That's so wild. The modern day Maharaj, eh?
Yeah. Maharaj, eh? Brilliant. That's the joke of the week right there. Oh. And also there's another thing where that's not the only problem with the Jinder Mahal thing. The other problem is they tried to make him the face of India by making him a cowardly, rubbish, unbelievable heel champion. And they were like, yeah, the Indians will love this. They're going to love this guy.
I got to say about that. For all the people who like were super famous and super over and never got to be champion.
Yeah.
How cool is it if you're Jinder Mahal that you actually got to be champion? No matter the reason, the fact that they actually put the belt on you for that reason. That's crazy that he will always be able to say.
Would you rather be massively? Would you rather be seriously Roddy Piper, Scott Hall, Mr. Perfect, like that level of respect in the? I mean, obviously, I know they're all dead, so they're not great choices. But you know what I mean in terms of reputation. would you rather be them or Jinder Mahal? Because Jinder Mahal's reputation is basically the worst WWE champion of all time.
So honestly, here's why I would rather be Jinder Mahal.
Okay.
Because like we can add Kane to this list, right? Kane was champion for like less than 24 hours, right? Like won it at Bad Blood, lost it the next night.
But he also had half-decent world heavyweight title runs, so yeah.
What, Kane, he had the title more than once?
He had the world heavyweight title.
Oh, okay. I wasn't thinking of that. I was just thinking about that one
I know,
time.
I'm just saying, but I know it's not the same thing, especially not in certain eras of WWE history, but it's still more than just, like... Kane's not the worst WWE champion, because he only held it for one day. How bad can it be? Jinder Mahal held that title hostage for, like, 6 months, and it was dreadful.
Okay, yes, but you know what, though? No matter how dreadful it was to watch, but if you're Jinder Mahal, dude, do you know The Rock? This is a true fact. Every time The Rock ever won the WWE Championship, he never held it longer than 3 months.
Yeah,
if you're Jinder Mahal, you could just say, I held the title longer than The Rock.
Yeah. But here's the thing. That's fine in any sport, but pro wrestling is not a sport. And so he hasn't won his title by being the best. He won the title by being brown. And I'm not sure I'd want... And then was hated for it because no one wanted him to be champion because he was rubbish. And, like... I think I'd rather have a legacy of, like, a Roddy Piper or a Mr. Perfect or... You know, I can't believe they never put the title on that guy. I think I'd rather have that. Be beloved by the fans and, like, generally respected by every fan. And, like, yeah, it's ridiculous that guy never held the title. Than be Jinder Mahal and have basically every fan unanimously say it's ridiculous that guy did hold the title. That feels so much worse.
I would choose to be Jinder, but here's the reason why. Because I would rather be able to say to my kids that I reached the pinnacle, the top of the company, and was champion for 6 months. Like, being able to show my kids that belt would mean more to me than having strangers who I don't know, like, oh, they don't respect me. I don't care. I still got to be champion.
Yeah, okay, I get that. But, like, you've got to bear in mind that me and you are... Well, I am, actually. You know, we're doing the content and what have you. But you're in a career that doesn't rely on the opinions of strangers. If you're actively pursuing a career that essentially is dependent on the opinions of strangers, I think that sort of legacy matters more to that person. Like you say, yeah, you get to show your kids your WWE title, but you never get to show your kids, I don't know, I guess you have to go on the home PC and ban them from Googling your name so that they don't ever see anyone's opinion on their dad. Because it's all negative.
Can I make one more argument about this?
Because it's all negative.
One more opinion about this.
Okay.
If you're Jinder Mahal, let's be honest. If you're Jinder Mahal, nobody ever liked you anyways. So as long as nobody was going to like you, you may as well get to be champion.
Right, I get that. But at the same time, like, I think people dislike Jinder more since he became champion. In the old days, they were just like, oh yeah, no, he was nothing great, but, you know, 3MB was kind of fun and whatever. Like, people were just kind of indifferent. Now people just actively wish Jinder Mahal hadn't been in WWE. Like, at all. Because then he wouldn't have been WWE champion. I hate that. Right, let's get back onto TNA. I hate that so much. Like, oh, we're cheating by not tagging. But you could reach each other. You could have just tagged. It's so pointless. It bugs me because it's like, why do I hate you for that? Because it's not like, right, if they were on the other side of the ring and the referee wasn't looking and the illegal partner rushed in, saved his partner, and then sent him out, yeah, that's cheating. That wasn't cheating. That was just stupid.
Look how mad you are. Look how mad you are.
Yeah, but I'm not mad at them for being heels. I'm mad at them for being stupid pro wrestlers doing a stupid thing out of kayfabe. I'm mad at the people that play Bobby Roode and is it Eric Young? I'm mad at the people, not the wrestlers. I'm like, you know better than that. You're professional wrestlers. You know that doesn't matter. Like, make the cheating matter.
Did you see this guy? Who's this guy right here? Team Canada in the red right in front of me. Who's this guy?
That's Bobby Roode.
Okay, this is Bobby Roode. Did you see Bobby Roode He jumped before the guy even elbowed him.
I didn't notice that. No, I was too busy ranting and raving. But like, do you know what I mean?
So
like,
crazy.
I hate wrestling tropes in general that are tropes just for the sake of it. Like, at least make them mean something within the match. Like I say, all they had to do was have them be like, Chris, is it Chris Harris that's the legal guy? I think it is. I'm not sure. I can't see because he's got too much hair. I think it's James Storm, actually. But all you had to do is have James Storm have a good grip on Eric Young so he couldn't reach Bobby Roode to make the tag, and have Bobby Roode just come in, hit James Storm, and then Eric Young leave, and then clap your hands and fake the tag. Done. Perfect. It's cheating. But what they did wasn't cheating. It was just stupid.
Man, you know what? You're absolutely right, man. And there's some wrestlers who would, like, when they got to the back, would rip them a new one for not paying attention to the details like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
You could have got so much more heat by actually cheating. That's the thing, is it was ineffective because no one booed it, because no one cared, because they could have just tagged. Like, the fans didn't get on them at all about it because no one cared, because they didn't really cheat. Do you know what it's kind of like? It's like if I said to you, okay, I'm going to toss a coin, and if I get a heads, you have to give me $100, right? And then when I toss the coin and it lands, and the camera's on it, it's on heads, and I pick it up and put it back down on heads.
Yeah, like, what was the point of grabbing it then?
Yeah, so I haven't actually cheated, but I've pretended to cheat for some reason. Like,
crazy.
What was the point? That's what they just did, and it bugs the hell out of me because why? Especially when it's someone I expect more from. I know they were young at this point, so maybe they didn't know any better, but it's Bobby Roode and Eric Young. I expected more. Do you know what? I expect more from them. I judge people a little bit off what I expect of them more than a generic sort of flat baseline of ability. And, like, for those two, I expect them to do better.
Can I tell you what bugs me?
Go on. Yes.
That spot they just did on the apron where Bobby Roode grabs James Storm's foot, and then he does a enziguri, right? And then as he stands up, Eric Young grabs his leg as well from the apron, and then just waits to be enziguri'd. Like, grabs his leg and doesn't actually try to do anything with it. Just like, I'm literally just grabbing your leg so you can enziguri me.
Grabbing your leg.
Grab somebody's leg
while you get your balance so you can hop up and kick me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I get it that he was supposed to enziguri you, but, like, if you're gonna grab his leg, shouldn't you look like there was a reason for this? Like, as like you were trying to get an offensive move off on this guy?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that probably falls more on James Storm not enziguriing quick enough. Where Eric Young's forced to just sort of stand there looking like an idiot holding his leg.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah.
And look at Eric Young's head, by the way. What's going on with his head? He's got a massive bulge on his head.
Yeah, I noticed that before. He's got a proper egg, hasn't he? I think he caught a good shot somewhere. He's got a big egg on his forehead, yeah. I don't know if it was like in this match or if he came into it with that because he got hit on impact or something, but yeah, he's got a proper bump. It's like the cartoon bump where it goes up with the sound effect on the head.
Exactly.
It's like one of them. It's massive.
Then they try to push it back down.
Yeah, and it comes up on a different bit of the head. I had this conversation with someone a while ago, and I'm adamant, I stand by this opinion, and anyone who argues with it, I just don't understand. The world would be so much more fun if it was cartoon physics, not real world physics.
I agree.
If you didn't fall until you noticed there was nothing underneath you, for example. Like, stuff like that.
But you have to hold up the side. You have to hold up the side that says "Yikes."
Yeah. And your body falls first, and your head stays in the same place, so your neck's like 50 foot long, and then your head catches up.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While you blink at the camera. Like, life would be so much better with cartoon physics. If you draw a tunnel on a wall, you can run into it. Like, yeah. Amazing.
Elmer Fudd would point his shotgun at Bugs Bunny, and Bugs Bunny would stick his fingers in the two holes, and then the shotgun would go off, and the metal would recoil backwards, like
yeah, you'd get like the actual ripple, wouldn't you? Go along the gun.
Exactly.
Yeah, life would just be so much better if we lived in a cartoon. It'd be so fun.
I agree. I'd love it.
Oh. And by the way, when you're flabbergasted by something, blinking makes a sound. Only when you're flabbergasted. But when you're like really shocked by something, suddenly you blink and you go blink, blink. That should be a thing as well.
I know this is not a cartoon, but I think about that a lot when like in movies, any sort of like fighting movie, when somebody's like sheathing a sword
Yeah.
or taking a sword out, and it's always like shing,
Yeah.
shing.
You could,
like, that does not happen in real life.
Yeah, you can get that sound, but it's luck. It's like every so often it'll just happen to scrape, but generally no, it comes out. It comes out with like a really horrible sounding metal scrape usually, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a good match, man.
Yeah. The fans are really into it as well. Like, you can tell they've really got the fans on side.
Which makes me feel like the order of the matches has been right so far, because every match before this was so lackadaisical, boring, you know?
Well, it's a very early 2000s match order, because that's not the done thing anymore. The done thing now is, well, it's for every match to be a banger on a pay-per-view, generally. Or at least try to be. But if it's not, the priority matches are the first match and the last match now. Like, quite often. AEW tend to do it a bit more, where they have first match, semi-main and main, tend to be massive. Like, they tend to go for 3, but they have 10 match cards, so that's probably why. Like, WWE only has, like, 5 or 6 match cards, so that's why they have fewer. But, like, yeah, it's been the thing for quite a few years now, where the opener... NXT TakeOvers kind of started it. The opener was always the tag title match, and it was always insane.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
In the corner just now, James Storm and his partner were trying to do like a combination power bomb, whatever, with Bobby Roode. But the other, okay, look at the fourth guy.
Just
what was that? What was the fourth guy even doing? He wasn't even involved.
He was trying to be in the way because he was supposed to land on him, and he was in the wrong place. So Bobby Roode just launched himself in the way.
Oh my God, he just killed that referee, bro.
That was a good false finish pullout. Like, that was well executed. Like, there was nothing working about that pullout. The referee just went flying. He had no choice.
I tried that a few years ago with my wife, and she ended up pregnant.
What?
False finish pullout.
I thought you meant, because of when you said it was when Scott D'Amore backed into the other one, whichever one it is that he backed into, and the look on his face, and I was like, wow, it was that quick, huh? She just backed into you, contact pregnant, done.
Immediate stomach.
What? No, it wasn't even just pregnant, she was already 6 months pregnant, immediately. Oh,
love it. I know everybody loves Scott D'Amore.
Scott D'Amore's trying to figure out how he can get out of that. It's like, you can't, my guy.
Oh, also, I just totally said his last name wrong.
D'Amore. D'Amore.
That's like, that was like, you know Abaddon? Yeah. When I first saw her, I thought her name was Abandon. And I said that to somebody I knew, and they laughed at me for the next 3 months. Every time they saw me, they'd be like, Abandon.
That's a long time to keep that going.
It is like, okay, I get it. I screwed up.
Who's this? Because I don't think it's Peter Williams.
It's the rest of Team Canada.
Divine.
Oh my God.
Who's Divine though?
I don't know. But look at that! Look at the gimmick hockey stick.
I know,
how it broke immediately. I love gimmicks.
Yeah. When we were talking earlier about chair shots to the head, have you watched this year's like Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty? I think it was Wrestle Dynasty.
Dude, watching this show with you is the first time I've sat down to watch a full wrestling show in like I don't know how long, man.
I would recommend them, just so you know, especially Omega versus Gabe Kidd at Wrestle Dynasty. Crazy match.
Oh
So
yeah,
good.
you already know.
So good.
Kenny
Like,
Omega's one of my
however good you think it's going to
all-time
be, it's
favorites of all
better. I
time.
promise you. And like,
If
but
you gave me the options of fuck, marry, kill with Kenny Omega, he would be fuck and marry. I don't care who dies.
I'm killing two people.
Exactly.
Oh, that was
Oh,
late. But yeah, so there was a couple of unprotected chair shots in that match, and I didn't love that. Everything else about the match was perfect, but I was like, come on, Kenny, you're smarter than that. You know, like, come on. But it made me think of like, have you at least seen the Hangman Swerve cage match?
I've not seen it, and I want to watch it, but I hate. I really don't like Hangman on a page, like as a human being. I can't stand him. I loved him in New Japan.
That's
Ever
crazy.
since he came to
What?
AEW, I hated him.
Right, well, first of all, the version of Hangman, the babyface version, is not here anymore. So he's much better now in terms of character work. Because I agree, he wasn't the most compelling character as a face. He's great now. He's one of my picks for like the best wrestling, like character wrestlers that there is now.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if they're gonna do a vote break.
Yep. Good job.
Make that a bit obvious, eh? So.
By the way, this guy right here, Divine, I almost thought he was Charles Robinson.
Yeah, he's got the hair. Oh
my god.
That's funny. Why was Eric Young trying to grab his partner on the outside? I don't get that. Anyway, he deserves that chair shot. I'm just saying. Why was he trying to grab him? Anyway, so yeah, there was a chair shot in the an unprotected chair shot in the Hangman Swerve match. The thing is, though, two things. One, there was a camera cut at the point of impact. Like, they cut cameras, they switched at that point. And when they cut back to it, Swerve was like wearing the chair, and it was clearly like hinged. It was clearly gimmicked, and the camera cut was to protect more how gimmicked the chair was than anything else. Right. And I was like, okay, I'm okay with that, because that's about as safe as you can do it. You know what I mean? That's kind of like taking a trash can to the head, knowing it's going to fold. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'm okay with that. But like an unprotected real chair shot to the head, I just don't have time for.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, is that?
Hey, it's this guy.
I've already forgotten his name again.
His legs are.
Yeah.
Oh my god, his legs are so skinny, bro. Is he still alive?
What is happening?
Are his legs still alive? Oh my god.
Okay.
It's so easy to jump him. He's got no legs.
I mean, there's probably quite a lot of people in the world who pay good money for this. He's getting paid, so fair play. Oh my god, that was stiff. Jesus, did you hear the thud? Did you hear the thud? Like, thunk.
That was crazy.
There's no worse sound. There's no worse sound in in like a fight than a dull thud. Because it's like, oh no, crazy. Ow, someone's just got their head caved in.
Wow.
You got the clut and you got the U. What? What's happening? Oh, she's called Trinity. I'm sure it's Tracy Brooks.
So she's the original Trinity.
Oh yeah, of course. Do you know? I never linked that I actually knew who the original Trinity was, because when I did a video on EBEZASimsgames that's like the best knockouts champion in WWE 2K, and when I was doing research to make sure I didn't miss anyone, yeah, there was two Trinities in the list of former like TNA employees, and I was like, I never knew there was another Trinity. Yes, I did. I've seen that one before. I never even thought of her. I mean, she wasn't like a significant character around for ages. Hey, did you see AJ? There was an AJ then. There was a flash of an AJ.
I missed it. There he is. Yeah. AJ was mostly X Division back then, right?
Yeah. They loved that replay. Trinity wrestler, not to be confused with Naomi. Okay. That is, in fact, not Tracy Brooks. That's a different large-breasted, black-haired woman. To be fair, do you know what I blame sincerely for stuff like that? Because I couldn't tell the difference between James Storm and Chris Harris for half of that match. I couldn't tell that wasn't Tracy Brooks, that it was actually Trinity. I blame the fact that this is 2005 standard definition. My eyes have got so used to HD, I can't see in standard definition anymore. I can't tell what's going on. It's mad to me that I used to watch TV like this and understand what was happening. Like, that's crazy to me.
Do you still have No Mercy?
I've never owned the you mean the N64 game, right? Not like an actual No Mercy show. Yeah, no, I've never owned it.
I own it right now. I'm holding it right now, and I got to tell you that No Mercy is arguably, many people would argue, that it's the greatest wrestling game ever created.
Yeah, I haven't actually really played a lot of it, but I kind of just disagree. I think no, because you know what the thing is that people always say when they say it's like the greatest, they always say about like the customization and stuff, and I'm like, okay, so it's the greatest creator wrestler system. It's not the best game.
Yeah,
it's not the best. Like the gameplay itself isn't the best. Like because the thing is, right, when people like say that older games are better, sometimes it can be true, right, but more often than not, it's nostalgia goggles because a prime example of it is Here Comes the Pain. Which is fun. It's great. The career mode's great. Like, and the roster's amazing. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of pluses to it. And graphics, I don't really care. For its time, it looks fine. You know, like, I'm not going to belittle it on graphics. Do you know you can't even choose to kick out of a pin on that game?
What?
Yeah, there's no pin kick out. That came in during the SVR series. Like, that's a relatively recent addition.
You have to tap the X button, basically?
No. You used to just have to hope. People used to think button mashing did something. It basically, it may have helped slightly, but it didn't really do anything. You just had to not get in a position where you were being pinned after taking too much damage, or you just lost.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's a big thing to be missing from a wrestling video game, the ability to kick out of pins. Like, come on.
That's wild.
This should be amazing, by the way. I'm not even a big Chris Sabin guy, but I can appreciate how good he is, even if I'm not particularly a fan.
So AJ Styles is on the card. We just didn't realize it.
They've just done a very bad job of advertising it.
One of the things that was really cool about those old WWE games, back when somebody would put you in a submission, you also couldn't do anything but hope that you didn't have so much damage that you would be submitted. And of course, when you were submitted, the referee would just go, "Give up,
give up,
match be over,
give up."
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I think there's loads of examples through history. Like, you know, I'm a big Hitman guy, right? And people go on and on about Blood Money, and I spent hundreds, if not thousands, of hours on Blood Money when it was the current game. I loved Blood Money. I have gone back to play Blood Money since the newer games have come out, and it's hard to play. Like, not hard from a difficulty standpoint. It's hard to enjoy because there's so much stuff missing. There's no cover system. You can't even like hide behind a low surface. There's no cover system. And I'm like, God, that's such a crucial part of playing Hitman now when you're sneaking around somewhere you're not supposed to be, is to be able to take cover behind things. Like, it's such a core stealth mechanic. So, like, yeah, I have the nostalgia for Blood Money, and I loved it, but I don't think it's better than the current games. And I think that some people struggle to do that disconnect. You know what I mean? Like, I think some people struggle to differentiate between nostalgia and it was actually better.
My favorite WWE game to play, as far as like a really good simulation, was 2K19.
Yes, I'm glad you said that. That for me is the best WWE video game.
Yeah,
we didn't appreciate it at the time, like, because the current game you always look for the flaws in, right? Because you want them to improve it for the next one. It's natural. But yeah, looking back, 2K19 is where video games peaked for wrestling, in my opinion.
Yep, agreed.
It was a very fun gameplay experience, and the online servers actually worked, which apparently I haven't really tried much since, but apparently they just don't. Ever since, they just don't. Do you know my favorite thing with AJ Styles? By the way, you might have seen this meme. It's a very common meme going around where people were like, AJ Styles went from being a troubled youth to being the mother of a troubled youth, and it's like him with his soccer mum haircut
Because of the haircut.
and this version of AJ Styles. He just looks like a little oik, doesn't he? It looks like he just like it looks like he'd throw eggs at ambulances when they go past. Like he just looks like he just looks like a troublesome little teenager, doesn't he?
It's so funny, yeah.
And then he grew out his hair and a beard, and he just ended up looking like a soccer mum, despite the fact he grew out a beard. still
Alan
somehow
Jones.
looked like a soccer mum.
You know what's annoying? I still have Samoa Joe's voice in my head. Oh, Wendy.
My favorite thing about that feud isn't Joe saying "Oh Wendy," it's the commentators referring to her as Wendy Styles. Her shoot name in canon is Wendy Styles. She took his gimmick name when they married. Which, by the way, would have been a legal choice. You can choose your surname when you get married. It doesn't have to be one of your surnames. You can actually choose any surname. But, like, still hilarious. At least in the UK. I don't know if that's a thing in the US, actually, but in the UK you can. I know two people who got married and they made their surname a combination.
It's not called ma'am name?
Hey, what? What'd you say? Hello? Oh, have we lost him here? I feel like we've lost him here. Hopefully he starts talking again. I'll just have to commentate. Emir, if you're talking, I can't hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah,
there's a lot of
I
lag
can.
right now.
Right, I can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you. There we go. Got it. Yeah, yeah, they made their surname when they got married like a portmanteau of their names. Is that the right term? Portmanteau? I think it is. Yeah. They like took the first syllable of one of their surnames and like the last syllable or two syllables or something of the other one's surname and made it into their surname.
That's very weird.
So
very, very weird.
That was.
I remember one time.
That was when I learned that you can actually just choose your surname when you get married. You can just rename yourself. You don't have to take either person's surname.
I never knew that.
I don't know if that's a UK thing and not a US thing, but it's definitely a thing in the UK.
Well, I think, anyways, in general, in the US, you can apply to change your name whenever you want.
Yeah, you can in the UK as well. But what I mean is, I think most people are under the impression that, like, when you get married and you decide your surname, it has to be one of your surnames or the other, or you could both stay with your original. No, it can just be any surname. Which is crazy.
I never knew that. That's super weird.
It's just something I never considered until someone I knew did it, and I was like, oh. And the same applies to naming your baby as well. They don't have to have either of your surnames. You could just give them a different surname if you wanted.
That's wild.
Yeah, and it's just something I'd never considered as like an option.
So I remember probably around 2005, I went to a grocery store with my then wife, now ex-wife, and this woman who was the cashier was like, "Oh, are you guys married?" And we were like, "Yeah." And then she was like, she looked at me and she was like, "Oh, did you take her last name?" And I was like, "Why the fuck would I do that?" And she goes, "My husband took my last name." And I was just like, "Oh, got it. You had to find a way to get that information out there." So you first tried to confuse me by asking if I did that dumb shit. And I'm like, no, I would never take my wife's. I'm not going to be Emir Gonzalez. Why would I have done that? And then, oh, my husband did it for me. And, oh, we got it. I don't know. And she's like, well, he hates his family. Okay, great. Just ring up the apples and oranges so we can get the fuck out of here. That's your whole backstory.
Is the law buy one get one free, or am I having to pay for this? Like, what's going on?
Exactly.
The cashier law. I have a question for you though. Why shouldn't you? I don't think either person when they get married should change the name. Is my take on that.
So I think my thing was, I'm a child of the 80s.
Yeah.
And for me, every time I thought about marriage, the framing was woman takes the guy's last name. And I don't have a problem if woman doesn't take guy's last name, but I just always really wanted it. The same way, like, when I thought about having a son, I knew I would want to make my son a junior. So this is not like a this isn't a misogynistic thing.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
like a
yeah, it's more of a so this is one of the ways I sort of think about the world, and it is always to look at like why we do certain things, and like you just broke the rules in a no DQ match. Get out of here, Scott D'Amore. It's ridiculous, isn't it, when they do that? But yeah, like, so that comes from a place of just like, yeah, we're raised with that being the norm, right? So you don't even like think of the alternative as like a real alternative. But where that actually comes from is the same place that asking your fiance's father for his permission before you propose to her. And it comes from a place of when marriage was a transaction, and it was essentially a father selling his daughter to her husband, and the surname change was to recognize that she was now his property, and that in itself is just why I don't love that tradition, because I'm like, maybe we could move on from that as a society, but I understand that most people don't do it for that reason. Like, I don't think for a second, you, for example, I know you way better than to think stuff like that, but like, it's so ingrained in society. Like, I know so many women who think it's a romantic gesture for their boyfriend to ask their dad before they propose to them. I'm like, no, it's a property thing. It's not romantic. It's a property thing. That's where you paid for your wife traditionally. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's just become asking instead of purchasing. Like, but it's like, why the dad? Why can't I ask your mum? You know what I mean? Like, why your dad? Why does it have to be your dad? You know,
I asked my wife's mom.
Yeah.
And then she told me that she was gonna bury me in the backyard. So it didn't go super well.
I can't tell A, if that was banter or not, and B, if it'd be funnier if it were or weren't banter.
It was real. It was real, man.
She was not happy about that.
No. She was like, "What can you do for my dog?" I'll tell you. It's a whole thing. I'll tell you later. But I want to ask you a question about equivalency.
Okay.
I once held the door open for a woman. I didn't know this woman. She was a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
And we were walking to the door. I got there first, and I held it open for her.
Yep.
And then she got very upset with me, and she was like, "It is very misogynistic that you held this door open for me." And I said, "Oh, I was just trying to be like a gentleman." And she's like, "Well, I feel like what you're saying is that as a woman, I'm so weak that I'm incapable of literally opening a door for myself.
Some people,
I'm so weak and dumb, I can't do this remedial task."
So here's my take, is some people are so determined to take offense at everything that they do their own cause more harm than good. Because that is not in any way, shape, or form what feminism is. Like it, you know what I mean? Like, that's what she'll say, she's a feminist, like, and that she doesn't accept that because it implies women are weaker than men. No, that was a human being being polite and holding the door open for another human. You would have done that if that was a guy behind you. Like, at the same distance.
I hold the door for everybody.
Yeah, why? Yeah, because it's just a polite thing to do, and people just want to find a problem with things. Now, I consider myself very strongly a feminist, purely because feminism is purely they should be equal. Everyone should be equal. That's the actual core concept of feminism, is they want to get equal. And I believe everyone should be treated equally. I don't believe equality and equity are the same thing, and I think equity is more important. But I think the end result is that everyone is on the same footing. That's the ideal end result, right? So if that means you have to favor certain people who are currently at a disadvantage, then so be it. Like, so, but I do believe everyone should be equal in the grand scheme of things. That's the end goal. And that's what feminism is about. So I am a feminist by definition. Feminists like that are just embarrassing. Like, because they do, what they do is they give Fox News and the Daily Mail over here and all the lack of credibility news sources out there ammunition to use to say, look, this is how people want the world to be.
Right.
And people are mad at this. And it's like, no, people aren't mad at this. Idiots are mad at this. And they make up a fraction of a % of the people that have any opinion on that matter at all. You know, like the door holding open. Like, you could hold the door open for 1 million women and maybe 2 or 3 would ever get mad at you. right? But those 2 or 3 are the
Yeah.
ones that give the actual chauvinists ammunition to be mad at all feminists. Do you know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
it's the same as like the really militant vegans who try and block people from buying dairy products in the supermarket. They're the ones who make people hate vegans. No one actually hates vegans.
Yep.
People hate preachers. Like you know like and it's like and in every cause there's always some people like that don't seem to realize they're doing their own cause more harm than good. Because to me, if you're a vegan and you care about the welfare of animals, you should be out protesting factory farms. You should be trying to get them shut down by making them so inefficient that they're not worth running anymore, right? Not guarding the already dead animals in the supermarket from people being able to buy it and making people hate you and making each of those people less likely to ever become a vegan in their lifetime because that's what they now think of as a vegan. Do you know what I mean? Like, all you're doing is you're actually killing more animals because there's a chance any meat eater, there is a certain chance, and it's different for each person, that they will become a vegetarian or a vegan at some point in their life because people do it, right? So there is a chance. When you do that, you reduce the chance. When you annoy them, when you make them associate veganism with annoying people in their mind, and it's the same with, again, like, what lesson were you supposed to learn from that woman? Okay, next time I see you, I'll just slam the door in your face. Is that better? Do you want me to assault you with a door? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is your alternative that you think is better here? Because yeah, it's just... oh, they're going for it again. They're not going to do it in this one. Fair enough. Yeah, Chris Sabin, do you want to, like, pay attention? No, don't punch AJ. What the... Again, wrestling spots that make the wrestler look like an idiot. Why are they fighting each other when Petey Williams is right there by the belt?
And if you're Petey Williams, why have you not pulled the title down by now?
Yeah, because everyone's been made to look stupid. They could have done that exact same sequence of AJ springboarding to miss Petey Williams by a mile, but theoretically hit him. They could have done that exact sequence by both of them just looking up, Chris Sabin panicking, running to a corner and starting climbing, and AJ going, no, I've got a quicker way, climbing to the outside and springboarding. They didn't need to carry on fighting each other. Like, if I was in a fight where the goal was to get down that thing from the top and someone was right near the thing at the top, I wouldn't be fighting the other guy in the fight anymore. I'd be like, whoa, stop. Let's deal with him, then fight each other again. Like, he's the problem right now. Common sense, come on. Speaking of common sense, AJ Styles, you are 5'3". Like, you cannot reach that man.
Exactly.
I'll be honest, I don't love the Ultimate X format that much. I find all the wire crossing bits just generally look really awkward and don't look that great. I think it could just be a ladder match and it'd be better. I think every single Ultimate X match would have been better if it was just a ladder match.
I think it's funny too because you saw in the clip that they had the ring personnel had to use a ladder to get the title up there in the first place.
They should have made them shimmy along the ropes to put the title up.
Think about how much upper body strength you have to even be a participant in this match.
Yeah.
To your point, if it's a ladder match, there's a lot more people that can participate. Because even if you have the build of AJ Styles and Petey Williams and all this, not everybody can like shimmy along a cord like that. That's crazy.
Can I just say how beautiful AJ Styles backflip into reverse DDT used to be? Like, just watch this. Yeah. It's so good.
Oh my god.
It's so good. And I'll say that was one of his less fluid ones because I've seen him do that so many times and do it so much better. But even a less fluid one is so nice. He was so good at that back in the day. I understand why he took it out of his moveset eventually because he got older, but that was so nice. AJ Styles is another one that I think people forget and underestimate just how good he actually was back in these days. Like, older, bigger, more sort of heavyweight AJ Styles is insanely good. But he can't hold a candle to original AJ Styles. Original AJ Styles was, like, genuinely, at least 1 year when he was in TNA in this age, was genuinely the best wrestler in the world. I couldn't tell you exactly which year. Maybe 2005, to be honest. But he was genuinely the best wrestler in the world. Like, bar none.
I mean, His matches in New Japan were incredible as
Yeah.
well. I loved them in New
Yeah,
Japan.
and that's like I say, that's bigger, heavier, older, more heavyweight AJ Styles, and he was still incredible then, don't get me wrong, but he was a different kind of incredible. This AJ Styles, you genuinely got the feeling that there just wasn't really anything he couldn't do. Like there wasn't anything that was physically impossible for him. He was limited by what he decided to do. Like, there was genuinely an era where he just felt like an Xbox creator wrestler with a creator finisher that was just ridiculous, like, but he had about 7 of them.
Yeah.
He had about 7 of those creator finishes you'd make, and your friends would moan at you because it just wasn't realistic to have a wrestler be able to do that. And you just like, I present to you AJ Styles.
He's awesome, man.
I don't know exactly which year. I'd have to actually do some research into, but there was definitely at least one year where AJ Styles was hands down the best wrestler in the world, and it was 2000 and something below 10. Like it was early TNA. Not like super early because he was obviously still finding his feet, but like maybe somewhere between 2005 and 2008, somewhere in there, he was just the best wrestler in the world, without a doubt.
What do you think when he came? By the time he finally got to WWE, his style was, pardon the pun, but his style was just not what it was, right?
I mean, part of that was neutered by being in WWE and only being able to bust out like the Styles Clash for really big matches and stuff. So part of that was WWE's fault. But yeah, I mean, all of it was WWE's fault because they just got AJ Styles far too late. The thing is, though, right, I know I keep saying hot take. I have a hot take on AJ Styles, which is if WWE would have signed him any time before he went to New Japan, they wouldn't have used him anything like as well. So he would have actually been more wasted in WWE. He actually had a really good WWE run because of when he went in. Had he gone in now, looking like this, looking like a 12-year-old chav, he wouldn't have been world champion in WWE. Ever. Like, I stand by that, because there's so many amazing wrestlers that have gone through WWE and not become WWE champion because they've been wasted. So being an amazing wrestler doesn't guarantee you anything. And yeah, if this version of AJ Styles, if AJ Styles had gone to WWE at the point where he was the best wrestler in the world, he would never have been WWE champion. Which is mad to think about, but I genuinely think is completely true. I don't think he would have. I think he became WWE champion because of his New Japan run, not because of anything he did in TNA. Despite how great everything he did, well, most of what he did in TNA was, despite the greatness, he became WWE champion because of New Japan.
Also, yeah, to your point, remember how big a deal it was that they let him come in and keep his name?
Yeah. Yeah, the only person, the only people they did that with were that New Japan influx, because they did it with Shinsuke, AJ, Carl Anderson, and I guess Luke Gallows, but he'd already been Luke Gallows, and he was more Doc Gallows in New Japan. There you go, there's your destroyer.
Ah, dang. Yeah, remember, they didn't let Kevin Steen keep his name.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much of it is just I don't know how much of it is just him being a company guy, but he claims that was his choice. He claimed he didn't want to be Kevin Steen in WWE. He wanted to change his name, which I'm not sure anyone would choose to give up that real estate they've built up in fans' minds over the years. But at the same time, the way his character was, and he's going to like a PG WWE product, maybe he just didn't want like that to kind of be a dark cloud over him in a way. Like the fact that he really wasn't PG, and not from fans, but from like, would like a Vince McMahon be like, well, we can't push this guy because what if someone Googles him? The old China argument, why she wasn't in the Hall of Fame from Triple H. Like, what if they made that sort of argument with Kevin Steen because of like how controversial he could be on the indies, So maybe it was his choice. And like you say, it was named after his son, who was named after Owen Hart, so it was like a double like tribute as well, like a double sort of shout out to people he cared a lot about. Maybe it was his choice. I'll believe him when he says it after his career's over, or after he leaves. I'll believe it then. For now, I'm a bit skeptical that he's just, being a company guy for the company that pays his bills. And not being like, yeah, I hate it. I can't believe they renamed me to this name I currently have. You know, like I feel like that would just not do him very much good. So I feel like Kevin Owens is smarter than that. Sorry, Kevin Steen is smarter than that. Kevin Owens is as well. By the way, Kevin Owens is one of the best booked characters in WWE history because he's one of the few people who's like approach to things and morals and view is consistent. I feel like he has a lot of creative input in his character because I feel like he just constantly goes, no, that wouldn't make sense for my character to do that. We're not doing that. Because why does his stuff always make sense when no one else's ever does? Why is Cody Rhodes forgiven? Well, that was one way of finishing the match. Wow, okay.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Who was champion going into this? Was it AJ?
Petey Williams. So Team Canada lost all their titles on this show. But
that's crazy.
But yeah, I feel like Cody Rhodes forgetting all the grief that Roman Reigns and the like put him through to team with them, and then hugging The Rock on Raw on Netflix. It's like it's like it's almost insulting to the character that he's either stupid for just trusting people he really shouldn't, or just way too forgiving of people that have done way too much to him. Like, it's okay to forgive and move on, but don't team up with them. Don't hug them. Just say, I'm done with this. I'm having nothing more. I'm not fighting you anymore. Goodbye. Like, I'm moving on to bigger and better things. That's fine. But, yeah, like, so many wrestlers, like, just have such short-term memories. And then Kevin Owens is just there being the, especially in WWE. And then, like, Kevin Owens is just there being the exception. He, like, remembers everything. Like, he remembers everything. And he hates everyone who's ever wronged him. And it's great. I love him for it. Oh, so they are doing the title match tonight.
Yes. Who is he, Goldberg? With all the security?
I was about to say Goldberg. With that belt comes money. Have you seen TNA and the NWA's finances? Beg to differ, good sir.
It's so funny because in the promo package for this match, when they showed Kevin Nash, all he said was, "All I care about is money."
Yeah. And now he's trying to justify it by like, "Oh yeah, the champion gets paid more," and it's like, okay. I'm sure you're doing fine. I'm sure you're doing fine, Mr. Guaranteed largest contract in WCW for like 6 straight years. Like, I think you're probably doing okay financially. Like when you talk about, like you said about like the Roddy Pipers and that maybe didn't earn as much as you would expect over the course of the career. Yeah, Kevin Nash did.
Right.
Kevin Nash was on millions a year in like the 90s.
Exactly.
Because Kevin Owens, Scott Hall, and Hogan all had in their contracts that they had to be the highest earner. So anytime anyone signed a huge contract, their contracts matched it. So they were always the highest paid in the company. And there was people like Hogan. Did you see that leak that time a few years ago of like one of Hogan's WCW contracts? I think it was like in '98. How ridiculous it was. It was millions for like, you know, a few appearances. Like it was. I was going to say dozens, but that's doing it too much. It was, maybe a couple of dozen appearances over the year, and it was millions. And Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were on that money as well. Like guaranteed, because they had that written into their contracts.
That's crazy, man.
And that's in the 90s. Millions in the 90s is different from millions now. Millions now is still damn good, don't get me wrong. I would not turn my nose up at it. But millions in the 90s was like, oh, I can just work for a year and then just not.
By the way, look at Monty Brown. His facial expressions. It just seems so weird, man.
Here we go. Iconic music. You want to talk about TNA music? This is the one I think of.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I thought this was, when I was mentioning the main event Mafia theme, this was the theme I was talking about.
Oh, right. No, this is Jeff Jarrett.
Did they not use this for main event Mafia?
No. I don't think Jeff Jarrett was ever in the main event Mafia.
No, just that beginning part, that
I don't know.
We need to
Maybe.
look up the main event Mafia song. I'm pretty sure it was that, bro.
Okay.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm also the guy who didn't watch TNA, so to say that I'm pretty sure is wild.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not sure. I highly doubt it because it was so famous for being Jarrett's music. But I don't know. I don't remember. I can't remember the main event Mafia music at all. I can't remember a single thing about it. So, like, you could be right. I would say I'm 80% sure you're wrong purely because it's Jeff Jarrett's theme you're thinking they used, and I really doubt they recycled this music of all music.
Yeah.
But I don't know, if the main event Mafia was while Jarrett left, maybe. By the way, him having a pyro guitar is so excessive. Like, I needed to shoot fireworks. I can't hear anything, no. I'm gonna look it up and play it into my microphone.
It was not exactly the same at all, but it was also a high-pitched ring that started their song, and I got confused.
Fair. From the Serengeti, because he's an alpha male, so he's... Yeah. Oh. YouTube advert. Hang on. Skip. Oh, I do remember this. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I listened to it on my end already.
Yeah, I know. I'm just... if you can hear it, though, it's picking it up for the video.
But yeah, I can hear it.
I do remember it. I do remember it now. Yeah, but I couldn't have brought that to my mind. You're right, though. High-pitched at the start. You got that bit.
Yeah.
You remembered more than I did, and you didn't even watch TNA, so I...
You know why? Because the main event Mafia, the main event Mafia and Aces of Eights were two things that stuck out as being really cool in TNA.
Aces and Eights was great until it wasn't, but Aces and Eights was genuinely really good. Like that, the start of the Aces and Eights storyline is one of the peaks of TNA. Genuinely, it got a bit rubbish towards the end. Don't get me wrong, but the start of it, when they were all still masked and it was like, who are these guys? And they were slowly revealing them one by one. Yeah, it was great. It was great TV.
So wait, have you actually seen this pay-per-view before? Like, do you know who's going to win this match?
No, I'm pretty sure I've not seen it. I'm trying to think if
what are the odds that Monty Brown comes away with the belt?
I don't using my wrestling sort of historian brain, I don't recall Monty Brown being TNA champion. So I think low, but that would be a reasonable gap in my knowledge, to be fair. I wouldn't be surprised if I just don't know that. So yeah.
He puts you like this.
He could what?
And I don't know, obviously, but like, what was the point of that little scuffle between Double J and Kevin Nash right before Double J comes out? Like, does Nash come out?
I don't know.
Cost Double J the belt?
Maybe. Don't know. I mean, so Nash is all about the money and going after the belt, so it makes no sense for him to cost Jarrett the belt because two things. One, he either shouldn't care who the champion is, he just wants the belt. Or two, he shouldn't want Jarrett to be the champion because he's made it clear in the triple threat he thinks Monty Brown's hard to beat.
Yeah.
So...
That's fair.
Yeah. So if anything, he might actually help Jarrett. If we're expecting wrestlers to act logically, which is a big ask, let's be honest. Can you imagine how good wrestling? Can you imagine how good wrestling would be if everyone's motivations and actions made sense?
Well, but think about how much faster the matches would end.
Like, no, I don't mean in matches. I just mean like the motivations for story advancements and actions they take and people they pick fights with and stuff.
Yeah.
Like the prime example of it, I think, is when John Cena was US champion, right? And there was like a weekly US title challenge. And every week, one person answered. No, they should have had people brawl out of the entranceway trying to get to the ring first. Because they knew it was going to happen. So as soon as John Cena's music hit, everyone should have been, who wasn't booked on the show, should have been rushing to Gorilla and standing there. And at the moment when he says, who's coming out, they all start a massive, fight to get to the ring first. Why was only one guy ever answering? Why was everyone fine with Sami Zayn getting the shot? Why did no one else want the US title that week?
There wasn't a smart person booking it. I mean, of course, if the way you're booking it sounds way more entertaining.
Just have everyone fight to get it to the point where Cena has to stop doing his open challenge and has to every week announce like a number one contenders battle royal. Everyone who wants in, come to the ring now. Next week the winner fights me, and do it like that, because every week he did an open challenge, about 16 people got into a massive brawl over it. It'd be so good.
Yeah.
They'd be like, okay, this isn't working.
That would really put over the importance of the belt. Like,
right?
This belt is so important that everybody wants to be champion. They're fighting over each other just to get the chance to fight for this belt.
Yeah, my thing with Cena this year is, yeah, sure, go after the world title. It makes sense. It makes logical sense. I want Cena to go after the IC title at some point this year as well, to complete his Grand Slam and to emphasize the importance of the IC title, and that it's mad that John Cena never held it. I think he should go after it and elevate that title. Not necessarily win it, but just going after it would be enough. If he wins it, fine, but I don't think him winning it is the bit that's important. I think John Cena using a couple of months of his final year to go after the IC title elevates that title so much, which it doesn't really need, because Gunther already elevated it massively. And even though it's been a bit hot potato, I still feel like it feels like an important title. But imagine how much more important it would feel if John Cena wanted it. I've been petitioning for John Cena to want the IC title for about 7 years now. Like, genuinely. It's been a long time that I've been like, John Cena needs to go after the IC title. It makes sense for him to want to be a Grand Slam champion and want to be in the IC title lineage that he's not in. Like, John Cena's kind of like a 100% completionist, like, player of wrestling, isn't he? In a way. Like, his character is just more achievements more of the time. You know, like, that's kind of his entire motivation. Why is the IC title not on his list?
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think? I mean, what you're saying makes sense. With him being in his final run, I feel like they're going to maybe try to get... I don't know if they will, but they have an opportunity to have him break Flair's unofficial title rate. Like,
well,
I mean...
he's declared for the Rumble on the basis that he wants number 17. He started the promo by saying he didn't think it was ever going to happen. Sorry to let you all down. And then by the end of the promo, it entered into the Royal Rumble and was going for it at WrestleMania. So, God knows. Look at the strength of Monty Brown not catching Jeff Jarrett. I could not catch Jeff Jarrett, and I'm not that strong. But yeah, like I think he should at least go for it. Should he win his 17th? Do you know? He probably, with the way Ric Flair has tarnished his legacy since being a full-time wrestler, John Cena probably deserves it more at this point than Ric Flair does. In terms of who you want to refer back to, John Cena, as far as I'm aware, hasn't been accused of like sexually assaulting any air hostesses and stuff like that. I think it's just an easier thing for WWE to have John Cena as their pinnacle guy of history.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they'll do it for like a short run. And then the thing is, for me, if they do give him the title for like a month or even like 5 minutes and he gets cashed in on, whatever, he has no character motivation to try to be an 18-time world champion at all. His legacy is cemented now at this point. It's highly unlikely for a long time anyone's going to get to 18. He's cemented for a long time, right? So then he can go after the IC title and be like, you know what I haven't done though? I haven't held that belt. Like, imagine him going after Bron Breakker. Cena and Bron Breakker. Be so good. And what if, like, whoever was feuding with Bron Breakker going into that before Cena takes over distracts Breakker and Cena wins, and then they do a rematch and Breakker just Brock Lesnar's Cena. Like, just annihilates him. That'd be
a great way to give back to the business on the way out.
Right? And put, like, give Cena the IC title, make it, like, put him in the lineage, and then have Bron Breakker destroy him. Like, he doesn't even get to his final, like, he doesn't even do the whole year. Maybe that's at Survivor Series, and he comes out and says, I'm done. I can't even go to December. Like, I just got absolutely obliterated. Like, imagine
that's crazy.
The heat for Bron Breakker, but also the raising stock of Bron Breakker. Like, you know what I mean? I would do something like that with Cena. I'd use him to tick a few things off the wrestler bucket list, because he is very much a bucket list wrestler. I think it's probably a better way to word it. He is, isn't he? And then just have him like big time put someone over.
Alas, I don't know if John Cena would do that. I know he comes off as this like very unselfish guy, but every time you've ever seen him go up against somebody else who wasn't as good a promo as him, and he purposely destroyed them and set them back 3 years, I don't really think of John Cena as a guy who's unselfish in that way.
I think current day John Cena is very different to past John Cena. I think the change happened somewhere around. Do you know what I actually think it might be? I think the change happened from the Bray Wyatt feud. I think John Cena probably recognized that what happened in his Bray Wyatt feud wasn't the right thing for business. Because the way he talks about the Brock Lesnar match at SummerSlam, like, a big part of the way it went down was his choice, which obviously we've only got his word for at the moment, but I kind of believe him, and I think he kind of understood that with him being such a big deal, he can now make the business a bigger deal, not just himself.
Yeah.
And because his US title challenge, yeah, he beat them all, but he was giving in those matches. He made like NXT call up Sami Zayn, NXT call up Neville, NXT call up Kevin Owens, beat him clean. Like, he was putting people over in matches left, right, and center during that run. And then, yeah, he tore Roman Reigns apart, but I feel like he actually did that for Roman Reigns' own good. Like, I genuinely got the vibe that he was saying, no, you're not ready. Get ready. You are the guy. Please be ready. Like, you know, kind of like, I feel like out of character John Cena was saying that to Roman Reigns. And look at what Roman Reigns ended up becoming, you know, like steel sharpens steel. I think there was a switch in John Cena's attitude somewhere from like 2014 into 2015. Like, I'm not saying he was perfect by any stretch, but I do think he was a lot less selfish, so I could believe he would do something like that. Especially now. Now I feel like he gets it. He's not Hulk Hogan at the end of the day. Like, he's definitely not on that level of politicking. Like, he might have politicked a lot when he was getting to the top and at the top. But now, like he said in his promo, he hasn't won for something like nearly 3,000 days. He hasn't won a single wrestling match in like 3,000 days. Like, he's clearly not selfish anymore.
Can I get your take on when he called The Rock out for The Rock having his promo written on his wrist?
Yeah.
And The Rock seemed to be clearly actually flustered that John Cena would call him out in this way. Because that didn't seem like business anymore. That seemed like very personal. Like, you're intentionally trying to bury a guy. What do you think about that?
I mean, one, The Rock's unburyable, but two, yeah, they've both openly admitted that they actually didn't like each other while they were having that feud. They've only grown to like each other since it. Everything John Cena said about The Rock, he meant, like, about the he doesn't love it. He left for Hollywood. And then John Cena realized, oh, Hollywood's not so bad, and sees the Rock side of things now. Like, so that's what I mean by I think he's changed. I think he was a lot more that guy. But in terms of, like, doing that, don't forget, The Rock, week in, week out, was coming, well, not week in, week out, weeks when it suited, was coming back to Raw and trying his best to bury John Cena. John Cena just fired back. He saw ammunition, he loaded his gun, and he shot it. Like, I think that was fair game, because The Rock was not pulling punches on Cena either. And the fact that The Rock got flustered by it genuinely tickled me, because The Rock's meant to be like one of the greatest promos of all time. And it's like, John Cena just totally did you in. Like, like this guy that no one likes and claims can't wrestle and isn't that good a promo and isn't that good a character. He just wrecked you. Like, you know, and I found it really funny, genuinely, because I was like, oh, the untouchable is not so untouchable anymore, you know? Now that people they've allowed someone else to go off script a bit, you know, because that was The Rock's big advantage, was there was certain things people were and weren't allowed to say. And I don't know if you ever noticed this, but like during the Attitude Era, The Rock didn't do that many like back and forth promos. He did all his promos backstage with the Jonathan Coachman. He wasn't doing back and forth improvisation. Rock was like the original scripted promo guy. He knew what he was going to say beforehand. It might have not been written for him, but it was written by him and Brian Gewirtz or Gerwitz or however you pronounce his name. Like, you know,
yeah.
The Rock was like the original scripted promo guy, and John Cena exposed that, I think. The Rock was highly entertaining, by the way, with those scripted promos in the Attitude Era. Like, I'm not knocking his entertainment value and his charisma, but was he one of the greatest promos? I don't think so, because I don't think he could improvise. I don't think he could. I don't think he could do what Stone Cold Steve Austin used to do. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't think he was on the same level as like a Stone Cold, or and this is an unpopular opinion, I think, or a John Cena.
John Cena sucks. I've
John Cena for several years very much did suck. His booking sucked, his wrestling sucked, his promos sucked, but that was because he was like booked into this really one-dimensional character. He didn't really have much choice but for his promos to suck. Ever since John Cena gained a bit of freedom with what he did, John Cena's been so much better and genuinely really good. I'm a John Cena fan now that I've actually seen John Cena instead of whatever the hell it was that he was being made to do in the first like 8 years of his main event run. That was just dreadful.
WWE, when they booked Super Cena,
yeah,
for me to sit there and watch this guy who couldn't wrestle, he was good on the mic, but he wasn't a wrestler in my mind. Like, and he hadn't earned the right to defeat all my heroes the way that they let him beat literally everybody. Yeah. I hated it. I still hate it, man. Look, I can't stand it.
Look, I hated Super Cena, and I still hate Super Cena. I still hate that era of Cena's career. I just can see the difference now and think he's just... It's almost... You know, the conspiracy theories that, like, Avril Lavigne died and got replaced by a clone? It's almost like that. He's so different. There's a certain cutoff where suddenly he's just a different guy. Like, he genuinely just seems like a different guy. His matches get better. His part of his matches get better. His promos get better. His booking gets better. Like, and the only thing that seemed to do it was he seems to be better at losing than winning.
Oh my God.
DDP, that's how you take a pounce.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't think the ref sold that a lot. That referee weighs 100 pounds soaking wet with a brick in each pocket. I think that was a shoot pounce.
Like, he pulls out another guitar. Holy crap.
Jeff Jarrett smuggling guitars. If he hits it and white powder comes out of it, I'm very sus of his guitar smuggling operation.
So let me ask you a question, and I'll tell you why I'm just asking this, but like, so when there's a guitar hidden in the ring steps, everybody all night has to know, do not throw your opponent into the ring steps and expose the guitar, because that's for later on tonight. So my question is that just a WWE thing in the first place, or in TNA did they also throw opponents into the ring steps all the time?
Oh, that's a good question. I will first of all start by questioning your premise, which is what's to stop them just dropping the house lights and a crew member putting the guitar under just before the main?
That's fair.
I don't know the guitar is there all night. I don't know that for a fact. But assuming it is, and in fact, it doesn't even matter if it is the ring step spot just a WWE thing? Seems to be, doesn't it? Now that I think about it, I don't recall many people getting thrown into the ring steps in AEW or TNA or New Japan or Ring of Honor back in the day. I don't recall that being a thing. I remember people taking the steps apart and slamming people onto them. But throwing them into them in position in the corner, I can't think of many examples. Whereas it happens on like basically a weekly basis. What the hell was that? On like a weekly basis
crazy.
On WWE. Doesn't it? Happens at least once per weekly show. Someone gets thrown into the ring steps.
Yeah. And many shows, it actually happens multiple times in one show.
Yeah, agreed. You know the one I hate, and I know I've just been defending him massively, John Cena, when he gets thrown into the ring steps. He runs into them, stops, puts both hands on them, and shoves them. Yeah. And I'm like, just shoulder barge them. They'll still fall over. You're 250 pounds, my guy. Like, they'll still fall over. Just run into them. Like, in a fight between John Cena and some aluminium ring steps, John Cena's winning. I don't care that they call them steel. They're not. I don't care that they say they weigh 150 pounds. They don't. They're hollow aluminium. They don't weigh anything. I could throw those ring steps around.
That's crazy.
So, what were your thoughts on the show that we definitely paid massive attention to? Do you see what I mean about how TNA is like two different companies?
Yeah,
Like, I
it's
mean, the two
true.
companies kind of meshed in this main event because they had one of the younger guys challenge for the world title for once. But, like, generally, it's like, oh, yeah, there was the Ultimate X match, there was the opening trios match, there was the random X Division match, Sanjay Dutt and was it Elix Skipper or was he in the next match? I can't remember who was fighting who now. But, like, there was all those sort of matches. The tag title match was all young guys, and it was just like a crazy match. But then you had like DDP and Kevin Nash plodding around with Monty Brown, and then you had Jeff Jarrett's the world champion, and you just have like a Raven against Eric Watts. Like, I love Raven, but Eric Watts was never good in 1992. Who thought he was going to be good in 2005? And Raven was way past his peak in 2005, so not even a good guy to carry Eric Watts. Do you know, like, it's very split in this era, TNA, between like, here's all the old guys plodding around, and here's all the young guys flying around and being some of the best wrestlers on the planet at the time. It's just weird. Like, they just couldn't decide what they were at all, I don't think.
And as far as my thoughts on the show, I thought honestly for a pay-per-view that most of the matches were pretty lackluster. But the two matches that stood out as good to me were the tag team match with Team Canada.
Yeah, tag title match was great.
And the main event.
Yeah.
The main event to me was the best match of the night, which I know it's like, duh, it's the main event, but many main events will fall flat.
Yeah.
That main event, despite the fact that Jeff Jarrett was, you know, his age and whatever his abilities were back then, and that Monty Brown, I had some like real questions about what he could do.
Monty Brown's green.
That main event was booked.
He's so green.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that
I think that main event
for Monty Brown being so green and Jeff Jarrett being a good hand. Oh yeah, we forgot Jeff Hardy and Scott Hall had a match with Roddy Piper as referee. Talk about the old guys club. Like, do you know what I mean? I know Jeff Hardy wasn't that old. Jeff Hardy wasn't that old then, but he was still an ex-WWE guy, so he still falls into like the category of WWE retirement home a bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
But like, yeah, that match, I would say the tag title match was a better match, but for what I was expecting from it, I think the main event was way over delivered. Because like you say, super green Monty Brown and good hand Jeff Jarrett, like, shouldn't have put on quite as compelling a main event. And yeah, it was masked with a lot of shenanigans and a lot of nonsense. But, you know, play to your strengths, hide your weaknesses. The Paul Heyman method, you know, that's why ECW was so popular. He let his wrestlers wrestle, and the ones he had that couldn't really wrestle, he didn't make them wrestle. He made them do hardcore stuff and whatever. You know, like, he knew what he was doing, and I feel like that main event
in the right place.
Yeah, I feel like that main event was a good example of using the right people the right way. If they'd have tried to put on like a 25-minute wrestling match, it would have been awful.
The fact that they had a very successful main event just using the two wrestlers that were meant to be booked in the match and two referees was nice. Like, they didn't need, like, I remember I anticipated a Kevin Nash run in or interference somehow. Didn't need it at all. It was perfectly fine the way it was. It was really good, actually.
Jeff Jarrett can cheat enough by himself.
Exactly.
Yeah, overall, like, I thought the show was good. Bear in mind, this is a 2005 pay-per-view, and pay-per-views have changed a lot. If you watch a WWE pay-per-view from 2005, it'd usually have like like 2 or 3 like really mid, this could have been on TV matches to start off and built to the main. It was just kind of the formula then, so I won't hold that against them too much. But yeah, I agree that like the thing I didn't get was the one match with literally 0 stakes. I didn't get why that's on pay-per-view.
That was random. Primetime, right?
Yeah, like the Sanjay Dutt match was just...
Yeah, Sanjay Dutt versus Primetime.
It was just...
I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, it was just a match for the sake of a match, which is fine, but on a pay-per-view, it feels a bit like... I don't know, maybe they realized...
The other thing I didn't
realized they had 10 minutes to fill and were just like, you two are good, and that's fine, but...
This story was probably, like... It was probably being built up over several impacts and then culminated at the pay-per-view, and maybe will continue on. But the whole Dusty Rhodes with the 2 girls and the skinny guy with no legs running around chasing after clues, I never really understood what that was all about.
To be fair, we weren't exactly listening, because who cares what that's all about. Yeah, but like, again, I don't begrudge... I think the ratio of matches to like nonsense was fine as well, because you expect some
Yeah.
nonsense on an American wrestling pay-per-view. Like, there's always a bit of, I call it guff, like just filler nonsense that didn't need to be there. But it breaks it up. It allows the live audience to go and get a hot dog. It allows the people watching at home to go and have a wee and make a cup of tea. And it just, you know what I mean? It breaks up the intensity. And I know this was more of a building show than an all intense all the time show, but I do think AEW could learn something from that, of having a bit of a break to some of the intensity, because they put on like a 4.5 hour show with 10 4.5-star matches, and it's exhausting.
Yeah,
it's exhausting to watch. In a good way, it's very entertaining, but it's exhausting to watch. Like, I am tired after watching AEW, like a pay-per-view, and it's like, give a bit of respite in there, you know, like have a filler match, have some weird segment that no one can really explain why you did it, but just give people a bit of a break every so often, you know.
Yeah, give them a chance to come down so they have a reason to go back up.
Yeah, not every match has to be match of the year. You've got Will Ospreay, like, just let him do it every show. Everyone else can just have can have a good match, you know, a 3.5 4-star match. It's fine. That's not a bad thing to sometimes do that and tell a story, you know. And I know they do tell stories. I'm not one of those guys that says AEW doesn't tell stories, before anyone jumps on that. But I'm just saying, like, it's okay to tell a slower story, tell a story just at a more casual pace sometimes, you know, like it can be a bit too much. Whereas at the other end of the scale, WWE's Netflix show was so far on the other end of the scale. The first bell didn't ring till half an hour in. The second bell was an hour and a half in. And by the way, the first match was like 20 minutes. It wasn't like the first match was like 45 minutes. It was like 20 minutes. And then the second match was like 15 minutes. And then there was another, like, there wasn't actually long before the next bell. It was only just after the 2-hour mark. But still, it's still like 15, 20 minutes of nonsense between matches. And it's just like, and I get that's not a pay-per-view, but it was treated like a pay-per-view. All the matches were huge. They had all the big stars in attendance. You know, they advertised it like it was a pay-per-view. It was meant to be like a pay-per-view, right? To show off how good WWE could be. And to be honest, I think they failed. I think WWE can be much better than that, because without all the absolute nonsense in between, it's a much better show. So yeah, I think TNA, what I was getting at though with this show was, the Dusty Rhodes segments did a nice job of interrupting the flow of the show and giving people a little bit of a breather without overwhelming the show. So I didn't mind that stuff. It was, and the other thing that I don't mind about it, no one serious got harmed. Like, they didn't have the knockouts division at that point, in the sense, you know, in terms of reputation and credibility and position on the card. So the women were just still there kind of as eye candy. I think they were just sort of developing the knockouts division at that point, and neither of those two were wrestlers either, you know, so like, it doesn't really matter that they're being used in that sort of sense. Run around with your boobs bouncing, fine, you know, whatever. No Legs guy wasn't anyone, so who cares if he looks stupid. Dusty Rhodes, you can't damage that man's reputation, so who cares, you know.
No,
so like,
he's still good.
Yeah, so I don't really, it's fine to put those sort of people in those sort of segments, because I don't care about any of them, and neither did anyone, you know. So yeah, I think overall that was a good show. I think I was much more entertained by it because I had you here and I was chatting away than if I'd have just sat and watched that. I think at certain points I would have been bored in that show if I'd have just been sitting watching it, and you can tell when those points were, because we weren't talking about the show at all. We didn't say one word about that Sanjay Dutt match except, why is this happening? I didn't even see the finish. Like, my eyes were on the screen, but because ADHD, my brain was thinking about our conversation and focused on that, and I didn't even register that the finish happened. Like, you had to tell me what the finish of the match was. You know, that's how interested I was in that match. And it's not that the match was bad, it was probably fine, because those two are both decent wrestlers. It's just I wasn't interested, so I tuned out. And like, yeah, but overall, I agree with you. I think it was a product of its time, I think is the best way to describe it. That's how shows were in 2005. They started with kind of a slow burn, who really cares, and built to a crescendo. And this show did that. So, yeah, I think it was fine. I think it was a fine show. I don't think I'm probably ever going to have occasion to go back and watch it again.
Yeah, I feel the same.
There was nothing classic about it. This wasn't a show that you're like, every few years I might rewatch that, because, you know, it was great. You know, it wasn't that. But yeah,
exactly.
I'm very aware I've already kept you way too late for what we arranged, because of technical issues and what have you. So I just want to say once more, very happy birthday, because when people hear me say this, it is your birthday.
Can I ask you one more question?
Of course, it's you that's on a time restraint, not me.
That's true. I'm supposed to be to work. I'm supposed to be to work in 15 minutes, and my job is actually 20 to 30 minutes from here. But I do want to ask you this one last question.
Shoot.
Because I'm curious. Okay, we're saying that this pay-per-view was good. I mean, decent for what its time, because that's what wrestling was back then.
It was inoffensive. It was fine. Yeah.
Okay. But, and I know in effect, maybe you did pay for it because you're maybe paying for this service. But what if you had paid pay-per-view money at the time for this pay-per-view? Would you feel the same about the outcome?
I would maybe feel a little hard done to. It depends how much it was. No, it depends how much it was, because in the UK, pay-per-views have historically always been quite cheap. I know when pay-per-views in the Attitude Era were being advertised at $50, we were paying £15, 15. Like, it was a lot cheaper over here for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it was.
You bastards.
Yeah, I know. Hey, we had to. You know what? It was our discount for watching it at 1 a.m.
That's fair.
Starting at 1 a.m. Like that was our late night discount. That was our inconvenient time discount. But like, so I don't know how much a TNA pay-per-view would have been back then. If I'd have paid about 15 quid for it, I probably wouldn't have thought anything of it. If I'd have paid $50 for it, I'd probably have been a bit upset. So there's your range of how much that show was worth. It was probably worth about 15 quid. About $20. Like, it was probably worth about $20. Tops.
How much did TNA pay-per-views cost in 2005?
Bear in mind,
TNA
started on an all pay-per-view model, if you remember.
Here we go. TNA pay-per-views in 2005, the cost was $39.99. Yeah, so $40 American.
Too much. Especially $40 of 20 years ago money. Like, $40 bought you a lot more then than it does now.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, like, 20 years ago you could buy a house with $40. Now you can't buy a Freddo. So, you know, it's...
Now I'm gonna search the same answer, but for the UK.
Yeah.
So, but look at this. Just as you mentioned, in 2005, a TNA pay-per-view in the UK would have likely cost around 10 to 15 pound. I don't know what this little symbol is. It looks like an L and an E had a baby.
Yeah, that's a pound. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, American. But anyways,
I see. The funny thing is, I know there's gonna be people watching this that will be like, "Damn, Americans don't know anything about outside America." I know full well you're doing a bit, because I'm gonna call you out on it so that they don't. But 10 to 15 pounds. If I'd paid a tenner, yeah, I'd have been fine with that. Yeah, I wouldn't have been like, "Oh my god, best money I ever spent," but I wouldn't have been like, "I wonder if I can get a refund." I'd have just been like, "Yeah, that's fine." That's like, because that's like if you order a pizza from a pizza place and it's fine, but it's not the greatest, and you spent £10 on a pizza and it was okay. It filled the gap you were looking to fill. It filled your stomach, or in this case, it gave me a few hours to watch wrestling. I'd be fine with that. I wouldn't have paid $40 for it. Like 30 to £35. No.
You would have, but you just would have been pissed afterward.
Well, okay, yeah. Yeah, but what I mean is, if I could travel back in time now, forget the show, but just remember my opinion on how much it's worth. But I go to America and it's like, it's $40. I'm like, nope.
Exactly.
Not paying it. No, not at all. So yeah. What do you think, value-wise? Would you have been mad if you'd have bought that for $40? I feel like the fact that you asked it as kind of, it sounded like a leading question, you would not be happy at spending $40 on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be happy, but that's because, like, nobody that I truly loved was on that show. Like, give me that whole show as it was, right?
Yeah.
And then add in a Kenny Omega, even at that time. You know?
Kenny Omega started in 2005?
I've seen some really, like, he was wrestling. He did TNA.
Had.
I don't know. He was very young. It was like he had like the really short curly hair.
Yeah, I'm thinking had he like done some Canadian indies and maybe even some DDT stuff or something by that point? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
let us know in the comments.
Me,
but like, yeah,
but just one guy I care about.
So it's funny you say that, because like, There was an AJ Styles, but I don't think that match is the best showcase of AJ Styles because I think the ropes are stupid.
Exactly.
I think Ultimate X is a stupid concept, and I can't believe it's still going and never been dropped.
Yeah.
They dropped all the other stupid concepts. People love Ultimate X as well, and I'm like, it'd just be a better match if it wasn't an Ultimate X. Never mind it being a ladder match, just if it was a triple threat, it'd just be a better match.
Yep.
But AJ was on it. I love Raven, but it's not peak Raven. I love Scott Hall, but it's far from peak Scott Hall.
Exactly.
So yeah, in terms of like people appearing in like their best capacity, yeah, there wasn't really anyone on this show I cared a great deal about. At the time, I think I was pretty into Monty Brown because they did quite a good job of pushing him and making him seem like a big deal. So, but I don't think I'd have bought a pay-per-view to see Monty Brown at the same time, you know. So, yeah. To be honest, I probably wouldn't have bought this pay-per-view if we were just coming up to it. No, if we were just coming up to it and the card that was advertised, I'd probably just have been like, I can catch up on that. I can catch the results.
Yeah, I can pass on this one. Just get the results afterwards.
Yeah,
exactly.
I didn't feel like there was anything that was must-watch on the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me, man. This has been a nice treat for my birthday. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, I'd love to do this again soon if I can, you know?
You say when. You say when, and I'll find us something to watch, and I'll just upload it whenever it's due to be uploaded. We'll record 6 months in advance. I don't care. You say when, and I'll find something for us to watch. I have the entire WWE back catalog with Netflix. I have the entire TNA back catalog. I have New Japan World, which I don't know how much back catalog there is. I have access to some AEW stuff that I've bought through Fight and some stuff I didn't bother. So I've got access to quite a bit of wrestling. So
can I say something to you though?
Shoot.
Here's my commitment to you. I don't have 3 hours on a weekly basis. That's a lot for me.
Yes,
but aware. If we can go a match at a time, for example, I'm happy to record something else with you next week. If you would be willing to rewatch the Kenny Omega match, me seeing it for the first time, I'd love to see that for the first time with you. Just that match.
Done. I'm down. I will rewatch that match. That match is 100% worth a rewatch to me. Like, yeah. I know you're a Kenny Omega fanboy. I'm not. And I will say, I kind of feel like Match of the Year is wrapped up. That's my stance on that match. I think Match of the Year 2025 is already settled. It's crazy. It's so good.
I want to do a Kenny Omega series with you because honestly, there's so much I've not seen. Like I didn't get to see like Kenny Omega and either of his recent matches with Ospreay. Like there's a bunch of Kenny Omega.
You haven't seen them. We're watching them as well.
Oh, so can we just do like a weekly Kenny Omega series? Just one match per week.
Emir fanboys over Kenny Omega. Yeah.
Yes. Somebody would love to tune in for that. Maybe it's me.
Do you know? I'm gonna do a little call to action here. Anyone watching this that fancies seeing that, go subscribe to Ebeza Reacts, my new reaction channel. I might put that on Ebeza Reacts with the actual match on the screen. And if we can find a way to do this, Emir, which I'll give you a week to think on this and let me know, if you could somehow local record your reactions, like webcam or whatever, and then send me the file, I could actually put us in the video and the match in the video and have it be like more of a reaction thing. Could be fun.
Yeah, I'm sure I could do that.
If you can figure it out, I'll give you some time to figure it out. Don't give me an answer just yet. But yeah, subscribe to Ebeza Reacts in case it goes over there. And if it doesn't, then tough, you've subscribed over there and I get an extra sub. Woo!
I know I can do it because I have access to a Zoom account. I have access to several Zoom accounts that the moment it's on, I can record and download the file and send it to myself. And I can email it to you.
Several Zoom accounts. I have many Zoom accounts. I have all of the Zoom accounts. Right, yeah, well, you need to go to work, so thank you very much.
Oh, yes.
I love you. I will speak to you about these future matches, and we'll get them going.
I love you too, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, guys, I just want to say one last thing. This man is genuinely one of my favorite humans on the planet. Like, he's just a magnificent human. Like, if you had the time to have something to put out there into the world, I would chill the hell out of it right now. But you don't seem to create anything anymore because you have about 150 jobs. So
Yes.
so and I think it's a shame, and I hope one day you do return. But yeah, just show this man some love in the comments. I will vouch for him. He is one of the best humans I have ever met. So there you go.
Thank you so much. I feel the same way about you, but I know everybody that's watching and listening knows that about you as well.
Oh, I don't know about that. Not everybody. Let's not go that far. But but yeah, leave a like, subscribe, share with your friends. Tune in next time. Subscribe to EBEZA Reacts. Bye.